Good evening, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry. You're listening to the two Mikes right here on Talk Sport. We're only 4 games into the new season and already the talk is all about managers. Tonight, Crystal Palace chairman Steve Parish appeared to back the beleaguered Frank de Boer, whose team have yet to score a Premier League goal this season, let alone get a point. Tonight, West Ham take on Huddersfield in their first home game of the season, with a cloud very much hanging over Slaven Bilic. And as for Ronald Koeman at Everton, well, I'll leave that one for Porky to explain. 08717 223344. Coming up later in the show, we're looking ahead to a great night of NFL action, which of course is now Porky's second favourite sport, and the US Open final as well. Plus, we'll tell you what's in tomorrow's papers. We'll talk to Sandra Lee. We'll have some winners and losers as well. Plus, it's the Porky Sermon for anyone who needs a little bit of spiritual guidance on a Sunday evening. You're listening to the two Mikes with me, Mike Graham, and Mike Parry on Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes, and I'm delighted to say it's time to say a very, very good evening on a Sunday evening to Mr. Mike, a Porky, a Parry. Very good evening to you, Mr. Parry.
Yeah, and a very good evening to you, MG. And why are you casting doubt on the veracity of Mr. Steve Parish's missives tonight?
Well, all I would say,
of his manager?
All I would say is that, it's unusual when a football chairman gets involved on Twitter with the fans and with, answering questions. I'm very happy that he has done, because I think it shows that he cares about his club. It shows that he cares about the fans. And occasionally, he wants to show that he's just as frustrated as they are. Yeah. But what he hasn't said in any of the tweets that he sent out, and we've looked at them in some detail, and, words are what we do. Words are our business, right? So the veracity of words and the use of them is very important. And at no point in any of these tweets that I've seen has he mentioned Frank de Boer. At no point has he said, I'm not getting rid of the manager. At no point has he said, the manager's job is safe and there's no question of me getting rid of him before the end of the season.
Well, he says we're 4 games in, it's a terrible start, but we have to stick together. Now, that to me is a guy who's saying, look, it's my decision to appoint this new manager, Frank de Boer. We have got to make it work. Yeah. And I don't know why you would say, it doesn't look very genuine to me.
Well, I'm not saying I'm not saying it's not genuine, but Steve Parish must know. He's a very smart guy. We've interviewed him, down at Crystal Palace the last time they played Everton, right? Yeah. And a very charming man, a man who knows his own mind, a man who knows football. I wouldn't call him exactly charming, to be honest. I would call him straightforward. Well, he's certainly straightforward. Yeah. Well, I would call him charming. I thought he was quite a charming guy. But he's also a very sharp cookie, right? Would you not say? Now,
absolutely.
Now, he knows exactly what he's saying. He knows precisely how these tweets are going to be interpreted. He apologises to a couple of people. He takes some abuse from a couple of people. He talks about the Palace family and how we're all sticking together. But at no point does he actually mention, what's his name, Frank de Boer. Yeah. I nearly said Ronald Koeman there. Yeah, exactly. He doesn't want Ronald Koeman either. But, where he knows very well, if he wanted to do that, he could have done it, right?
Yeah, but he knows also that if he comes out with a bland statement saying, as chairman, I can assure you, fully behind Frank de Boer, that would literally be the lethal, vote of confidence from the chairman. Everybody reads into that, that's it, he'll be gone by Tuesday.
Yeah, but, in that case, why say anything? I mean, the point is...
because he can't keep silent. If he keeps silent, the reading of being silent is that, he's too angry, too frustrated, too distraught, and too without answers to be able to join into a dialogue with the fans. He is joining a dialogue with the fans, which to me means he's got nothing to hide.
No, I think he hasn't got anything to hide, but I also believe that by not mentioning specifics about the manager, he doesn't even say the manager at any point. He talks about the management, but he doesn't talk about the manager, right? And so therefore he leaves the door open, I think.
We are the management.
The management, yes. Yeah. The management will be taking over. Well, what do they used to call the human resources department, the business interruption department.
I don't know.
But anyway, the point is that he doesn't mention the manager, either by name or not by name. He doesn't mention de Boer by name at all. I believe he's leaving the door open because he can't let this go on.
He has to leave the door open.
He has to leave the door open because he can't let this go on.
I totally agree with you. He's got to leave the door open because, frankly, if this goes on for another 2 games, it's still pointless and goalless. By the way, I think this is something like a 93-year record of a team going 4 games at the start of a season in the top flight without a goal or a point. Yes. I think it's a 93-year record. That's not the sort of record you want.
No.
I think
even Bournemouth, who are one place above them, have actually scored a goal, haven't they?
Yes, that's right. But I think we should leave it to the Crystal Palace fans to tell us what they think and what their interpretation is of their chairman's tweets. Yeah. And they can do that by calling us here at Talk Sport. Right. Now, the number is...
Go on.
08717 22 3344, OK?
Yes.
You can text us, 81089, email via talksport.com or tweet us at talksport.
My
by
goodness,
the way...
aren't you just full of information on how to get in touch?
Yes, I am.
How have you been memorising that all day, have you?
Yes, I have, because we're in the communications business.
Right.
Mr. Parrish himself may well be listening. If you are Mr. Parrish, pick up the phone and give us a call. Because
we'd love to get you on the phone and ask you that question. Why would you not mention the manager by name? Why would you not mention the manager at all? For example, he says this: people are frustrated. I'm frustrated. So are the management and the players. We know we are better than this.
Yeah.
Then he says, we can't just keep on spending and spending. 90% of fans wanted Sacco, which was always going to limit what we could do.
Yeah, no, he's absolutely right. And when asked could this squad have beaten Huddersfield, Swansea and Burnley, and on our day, Liverpool, we had a much weaker squad when we finished 11th, is a response from a fan. Now...
now he was also accused of being slightly disrespectful to Burnley because he said in one of the tweets that the squad at Crystal Palace was a far better squad than the one at Burnley.
Yes.
Now, I don't see... I mean, people have a bit of a sort of two-faced hypocrisies for me in football, particularly some of the fans, when they go, oh, that's very disrespectful.
Yes.
You know, why would he not say that if that's what he believes? I don't believe that is in any way disrespectful to to Burnley.
No.
Do you?
OK. No, I don't. And another one here. Get some placards and a petition up. I'll stand my record up against any chairman we've had in 118 years. So he's replying there to disgruntled fans. And when a chairman of a club says, look, I'll stand my record up against anybody else who's ever done the job since the inception of the club, he is clearly saying, look, I'm in control and my decisions will count. Yeah. And at the moment, the decision is... De Boer stays. That's obvious.
Yeah, but he's not saying it, though. That's my point.
Well, he is, because he's not saying he's going.
Yeah, but he's not mentioning him at all. Wilfried Zaha.
I think you're over... No. You're making this far too much of an issue. The fact that he hasn't mentioned the name of his manager, what do you expect to say? Frank's my pal, he's staying, or...
Well, because he could say...
De Boer has my backing. No, I think he's done it very well.
I think so, because, for example, he could be saying, I know a lot of Crystal Palace fans are unhappy with Frank de Boer. I can assure you that he's staying at the club. Something like that. Why wouldn't he say that?
Well, because he can't say that. Because in 2 games' time, Mr. de Boer might not be staying at the club.
Well, exactly.
What he's saying is...
that's exactly my point.
What he's saying is, à ce moment, OK?
Try not to speak a foreign language. You mangle the English one badly
That's French for of the moment.
It's at the moment, actually.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly what I said. At the moment, de Boer has the...
he's not saying that at all.
No, he is. He's saying at the moment he's still the boss and there's no reason for him to fear for his job.
Well, I don't know where you're seeing that.
Moment.
I mean, only you, as a man who could twist everybody's words, could come out with the fact that, oh, look, we've got a great quote from Steve Parrish here. He says he's backing Frank de Boer.
Yeah.
He doesn't say that anywhere.
Well, he doesn't say he's sacking Frank de Boer.
No, he doesn't.
And that's the issue that you're splitting hairs on.
I'd like to hear from some Crystal Palace fans, because your determination, right, is actually exactly the same as mine. You're saying, well, he's keeping it the possibility of being able to sack him open because he might have to sack him in 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, if we agree on that, what's your problem?
Well, I'm saying because he hasn't said that he's backing him. Yeah, it's not difficult.
Well, no, it's...
have you been sticking, cloth in your ears or something?
No, you don't know enough about the world of management, stroke football. You see what I mean?
Is that right? Well, here's what Wilfried Zaha has tweeted, right? Yes. It's easy to point fingers right now, which won't solve anything. Let's just stick together and get through it like we always do. Yeah. And then it says, #Crystal Palace family.
Yeah, well, that's a pretty sensible way of looking at it, don't you think?
Well, I don't know.
Well, I think it is. I don't know. Because to stick the boot, to suddenly say, right, it's all over now, would seem like a pretty sort of knee-jerk reaction in my view.
Steve also says basically that he didn't originally mean to answer people on Twitter when Crystal Palace lose. It's a tough spot this. Looking forward to turning it round on Saturday up the Palace. So I mean, you can't accuse him of being anything but enthusiastic, can you?
No, exactly. And also you've got to remember that the hours after a game like that, when you've suddenly hit a record you don't want, i.e. 4 games, no points, no goals. Yeah. Is the very moment when you're most vulnerable if you're emotionally weak. Yeah. And the moment when you say, I can't stand any more of this, you've got to go. It's the moment when you hear the fans booing, and the travelling fans who've gone to Burnley, travelled 230 miles from Surrey, making their displeasure very well known, that's the moment at which you panic and you're weak. And so it's obvious that he's not emotionally weak, he's emotionally strong. So if he's emotionally strong, he's going to make the right decision.
Well, we shall see. The right decision, if it carries on like this, is surely not to keep Frank de Boer. We shall see. We want to hear from you, Palace fans. 08717 223344. Martin says this, Porky has come straight from the pub, so obviously paying extra attention to words is important. See you at the winery.
Quite right.
Yeah, and here's one from a guy called Chris, who says, hi guys, driving home from Ironman in Tenby, turning my nephew Bailey into a fan of yours. Can you give him a shout out, and have you seen the time?
What's the lad's name?
His name is Bailey.
Bailey,
yeah, you told me the other day that nobody could have the first name Bailey.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
That'd be ridiculous. Never heard of a Bailey before in my life. So that's a great name. I do. I like it. Is that a Welsh name then?
Bailey? No, not necessarily. He's just been in an Ironman competition in Tenby.
Oh, okay.
You know what that is, don't you?
An Ironman competition. Yeah.
What is it?
It's doing an impersonation of an Ironman, isn't it?
Oh, you mean like flying through the air?
No. Like putting on like an Ironman suit type thing.
No.
Yeah?
It's not. No, it's like an extended sort of marathon. It's like a triathlon.
Oh, I see. Right.
It's an Ironman competition.
Oh, it's nothing to do with the film Ironman.
No, nothing to do with the film. He's not impersonating Iron Man.
No, I see.
Or the Incredible Hulk.
No, okay. Yeah,
anyway, you're going to give a shout out to Bailey.
Bailey, I already have. How old's Bailey?
Bailey's his nephew. He doesn't say.
Doesn't say. Okay, well, Bailey, nephew Bailey.
Yeah. Keeping him out a bit late on. He's going to go to school tomorrow.
How do you know? Is he of school age? Then?
I don't know.
No, you don't know, do you?
No.
So you're making assumptions.
Well, you could be right.
The very worst thing a journalist should do is make assumptions. You should always check your facts.
That's very good coming from you. I've never been sued by anyone ever. Have
Bailey,
you?
No.
What about Kate Adie?
She didn't sue me. She
yes,
sued
she
the
did.
Daily Express.
She sued you personally.
I want to say, Bailey, that I hope you had a great day, mate. I hope you got a great result in the Ironman competition. Of course, I knew what
Bailey
it was
wasn't
all
in
along.
the Ironman competition.
Oh, who was?
Well, I presume his uncle was, Chris.
Oh, I thought Chris said he'd taken Bailey to an Ironman competition.
He doesn't say that. You're making assumptions again.
Well, sorry, could you read out the note again?
It says this. Hi, guys. Driving home from Ironman in Tenby.
Right.
Turning my nephew Bailey into a fan of you. Can you give him a shout out? Maybe they just went to watch it.
Why is his nephew Bailey there if he didn't compete in the Ironman competition?
I don't know. Maybe he just likes him.
No. Well, you see, you've got your, honestly, you've got your information.
I got my son to a Chelsea game. He wasn't playing for Chelsea.
No.
He was just watching it.
No, I know, but you've got to play for Chelsea. You've got to be a professional footballer to enter these Ironman competitions. Just be a
as far as you know,
enthusiastic amateur.
His nephew might be 5. I don't know.
Yeah, well, he might be 25.
He might be.
Yeah, so we do. So no,
so best not to make any
information here, I'm afraid.
I'll tell you.
Sometimes we get too much information. On this occasion, we haven't got enough.
I'll tell you who is 5 though. Scarlett.
Right.
Scarlett is her 5th birthday today.
Yep.
And her father is Robbie. So
okay.
he'd like you to wish her a happy birthday.
Okay. Well, Scarlett, 5 years of age, daughter of Robbie. Right. I hope you had a great day, a great birthday, and I hope you're going to have a great week ahead. Celebrate your birthday every day, and you will have a wonderful life, my dear. Well done.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed. Now, 08717 223344 is the number to call if you're a Crystal Palace fan. We'll get on to West Ham. We'll get on to Everton as well coming up. This is Talk Sport.
Left-hand side of the Palace midfield for Lee. It's a shocking ball from Lee, and Woody's onto it. That is a majestic finish. It just goes from bad to worse for Crystal Palace.
We did almost everything right, but again, football is about scoring goals, and we didn't do that. We controlled the game. We played on the ground. We played through the air. Yes, much more I cannot ask from our players, only that they have to score goals.
Burnley, of course, beating Crystal Palace there. Newcastle getting a win as well. We'll be talking about Rafa Benitez a little bit later on. He's doing all right, even when he's not actually sitting on the touchline.
Well, they've had back-to-back victories, Newcastle. So actually, the start of their season has not been at all bad.
Absolutely right. Yeah. Jack says this, I think keep with De Boer. Who else can we get? No one's out there. I enjoy your show, guys. Very entertaining. Stu says, I've got a screaming baby listening to you both. It's keeping me sane, of sorts.
Yeah, well, that's part of our job is to keep people sane.
And then here's one from Dennis who says, I see the Porky jinx has struck again. Didn't Porky back Everton against Tottenham? Well, they didn't have a great game, did they, to be fair?
To be honest, I didn't sort of come out and say Everton are going to wallop them. No, I hoped for a sort of 2-1 victory or something like that. But Everton got beaten very comprehensively. And I've spoken to people who went to the game, and there was a sense of, at Goodison Park, there was a sense of people being stunned by the ease with which Tottenham beat Everton because of Everton's inability to really threaten Tottenham in any way at all.
Yeah, I think I saw a stat today which said that in all of the 4 games so far, they've only actually had 7 shots on target, which is pretty appalling, isn't it?
the question people are asking is, we seem to have bought an awful lot of midfield players, and some of them are very high quality, in terms of individual performances. Yeah. But none of that seemed to knit together on Saturday, and we are clearly lacking firepower up front.
Indeed, and I've got some more bad news for you on that front as well, because the front page of tomorrow's Sun has got a headline that says, "Colleen, we need extra time." Rooney apparently has been told by her to ask Everton for compassionate leave to help fix his marriage.
He looked distracted on Saturday, according to the people I spoke to who were there. I thought it would go the other way. I thought that Rooney would get onto the pitch there and he would say, just...
Cross the white line, as it were.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Let me put on a blue shirt. I feel like I'm now on an island, away from the pressures of life which are bearing down upon me. And I thought for 90 minutes, the freedom of not having the dreadful responsibilities that he heaped upon himself would bear fruit in football terms. It seems to have gone the other way.
Yes,
he seems to have been completely distracted. It didn't help that there was a story knocking about over the weekend that Colleen didn't attend the game with her 3 sons, as Wayne Rooney might have wished her to.
Yes.
Whether or not that's entirely the case, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, if all that sort of thing's happening, then clearly he's still distracted.
It's very
obviously.
difficult. Very difficult. Yeah. But I'm sorry to impinge on private grief. We do have to talk about it. We will be taking loads of calls on it, and of course we'll take tweets as well. Let's talk to Simon Johnson now, though, who's with the Standard, because he's going to have some possible inside knowledge about the mindset of Steve Parish and whether he does deliberately leave Frank de Boer's name out of those tweets. Simon, a very good evening to you.
Good evening, chaps. How are we?
Yeah, very well indeed.
Very well indeed, Simon.
Now, I don't know if you, like me, are a student of the way that people speak, and particularly the careful way that some people tweet. And Steve Parish, to me, has tweeted out tonight a variety of things, but none of them have mentioned the manager of Crystal Palace, and none of them have mentioned the manager by name. What do you make of that?
Well, I suppose from his point of view, he'd refer to one of the tweets where he said, "We are 4 games in, it's a terrible start, but we have to stick together."
Yeah.
But you're right. I think...
Yeah, who's we, though?
And none of those tweets is he categorically saying the manager is staying regardless.
Yeah, but Simon, he'd be a nutcase to do that. I mean, this is the most perilous position the club have ever been in 4 games into a new season. They haven't scored a goal and they haven't won haven't even won a point. So I mean, only a nutcase would say, I heartily endorse and back the manager who so far has proved to be the most useless manager we've ever had. I mean, he'd be mad to do that, wouldn't he?
Yes, but at the same time, I'll take you back to what Steve Parish said just 3 months ago on appointing Frank de Boer. And he said, I don't want to cling on to Premier League safety only to fall out of it and still be the same club. We need to find a way of breaking down teams that give us the ball. If teams give us the ball, typically we lose. If we give them the ball, we beat them, and that's top teams as well. The whole point of signing Frank de Boer was to completely change Crystal Palace's style of play. Now, you could say he's done that because they're losing every game.
Yeah, that's very harsh, but
it's true,
I see
though.
what you mean.
I mean, they haven't scored a goal yet and won't get any points.
Yeah, but he didn't deliberately mean to lose the games. That's the point, isn't it?
From what I saw earlier on, it was a much better performance than the one so far, and you can't blame Frank de Boer for some of his players not being able to hit a barn door from a couple of yards out.
That's true.
Namely Scott Dan.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Shocking miss. And you can see on de Boer's face when the camera cuts to him. But the point is that Crystal Palace, the project that de Boer's been given is a huge one. They're basically totally trying to revolutionise the style of play from a very defensive, just try and survive in the Premier League, to a team that is actually going to progress and become a top 10 side. He even mentioned sort of the likes of Everton. Steve Parish even mentioned 3 months ago the likes of Everton and Southampton. That's the kind of clubs they were looking to emulate. A top 10, even higher in if you look at Everton, for example, last season. A side that could sort of really sort of have much more positive things to look forward to, not just a relegation battle. Now, it's been a terrible start, but you can't expect such a change to happen with a flick of a coin, because it's so dramatic. And then when you look at the transfers, yes, Crystal Palace has spent an awful lot under previous managers, but Frank de Boer has so far been given 2 loan signings. Jaro Roudeveld, who's only made one appearance so far, and Sacco was signed on deadline day. Now, is that the kind of backing a new manager who is going to totally revolutionise the style of play, needs to accomplish what he wants? I would say no. But the point is yes, he's hanging on a knife edge now.
Well, he is. I mean, we were told that if he lost to Burnley, that might well be curtains. But the other question I've got, and I was listening to Ray Houghton on the TalkSport live commentary earlier on today, who was saying that he can see the Crystal Palace players are just totally lacking in any kind of confidence, and the reason there's messing everything up.
Maybe.
But the other point I heard earlier on TalkSport as well was that the way that Crystal Palace are playing under De Boer is not the way that Ajax used to play under De Boer. So it's not necessarily his idea.
Well, you've got to remember as well that De Boer had to change his formation anyway under a bit of pressure from the hierarchy, given their start. So he did. That was one of the reasons why they were getting a bit frustrated with him, that he was maintaining this 3 at the back. It didn't work in the first 2 games, so he switched to a 4 today. But they made a sloppy mistake, got off to the worst possible start, and this tends to happen, doesn't it? We say this every year. The teams at the bottom, it seems to just be a once you're on a negative momentum, what can go wrong does go wrong.
Yeah.
But I've still got a lot of sympathy for him because, like I said, the size of the project was huge.
Well, I mean, maybe he'll be saved, Simon, on 2 counts. Firstly, do you want to go down the history books as being the club that sacked its manager after 4 games, which would be a Premier League record, wouldn't it? Because I can't remember anybody going. And secondly, at the end of the day, Mr. Parrish has to say, well, I appointed him, so is my judgment so flawed that I've got to sack him after 4 games? Yes,
I mean, it would reflect very badly on him, although you could argue, if he brings someone else in and they stay up, people go, well, that was a brave decision, well made. But one of the names being linked tonight, not for the first time, is Roy Hodgson.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous.
Isn't that ridiculous?
That would be the biggest, counter-productive regulating a mistake.
Time,
yeah, I mean, listen, this is a big mistake. If you suddenly sack Frank de Boer and appointed Roy Hodgson, that's a double mistake.
Well, you're basically going back on the words I was quoting just a few minutes ago. You're doing a massive U-turn and going back to what you know.
Yeah.
Very safe, just sort of play to survive and not really sort of pull up any trees in the top flight. Now, I should hasten to add that, of course, Steve Parrish is not the only one in control anymore at Crystal Palace. The American investors came in December 2015, Josh Harris and David Blitzer, so he's got someone to answer to. There's someone else who will be like, well, we've put money into this club to take this club forward. We when we came on board, we were expecting top 10 cup
progress in the Premiership, not a battle to stay in the Premiership.
Exactly, and so you can imagine them getting a little bit twitchy after 4 games. But like I said, Frank de Boer, with the players he's got, not helped, of course, I really hasten to add, Wilfried Zaha, arguably their best player, is, of course, out with a knee injury.
Yeah, that's right.
But like I said, what can go wrong is going wrong for Frank de Boer.
Yeah, it certainly is. And to be honest, the points you've just made, maybe Mr. Parrish is saying to himself in his head, I did bring Frank de Boer here, I did want this new plan, but I failed to provide him with the resources to carry it out.
Yeah, but one of his tweets, which I think you guys even mentioned just before I came on air, was he actually mentioned that there's only so much money available, and of course a lot of that money's been spent by previous managers. But you sort of, a lot of clubs, a lot of fingers are pointed at clubs with a terrible hiring and firing record, and Crystal Palace have actually sort of gone under the radar because De Boer is the 5th manager since they got promoted into the Premier League in 2013. So this lack of stability, and you can imagine each manager comes in, sort of likes their own players, spends more money. I mean, Sam Allardyce spent a fortune in January. Yeah. And that has left sort of De Boer in a situation where, like I said, he's got 2 loan signings and a couple of actual transfers. That's not enough. They don't have a striker, and they didn't bring in another striker. They're relying very much on Christian Benteke, and of course, he can be very hit and miss. He missed
mostly miss at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. All miss at the moment.
Absolutely right. Listen, Simon, we've got to leave you there.
Simon, thanks very much.
Off time. Thank you very much indeed. We've got loads going on tonight. There's a great NFL game on as well, which I'm going to ask you to do a bit of commentary on in a little while, because we've got live NFL football after our show tonight at 1 o'clock, because the Dallas Cowboys are playing. Do you know who they're playing?
Dallas Cowboys?
Yeah, do you know who they're playing?
Tonight, who they're playing?
Yeah, they're playing the New York Giants.
New York Giants.
Which used to be my team. So I'm expecting to get a lot of insight after your amazing performance in the quiz on Friday. Right, now we've got lots more going on, of course. We are the Two Mics. We want to hear from you Palace fans. 08717 223344. Is De Boer the man for the job, or would we be better off just getting shot of him now? This is TalkSport.
Where is my mind? Where is my mind? Where is my mind?
Still coming up on the show, we've got, of course, winners and losers. We're going to have a Porky Sermon because it is Sunday. We're going to have a bit of Postman Pork, I think, as
we
well.
certainly are, yeah.
And
we've
also,
had a lot of correspondence.
As if that's not enough, we're going to get some of our regular correspondents back on this slot. Sandra Lee's coming on from Australia a little while later. And right now, we have the remarkable Mr. Mark Donaldson, who's actually at the US Open watching it as Rafa Nadal has taken the first set, I believe. Mark, a very good evening to you.
How are you both? Good to speak to you.
Yeah, we're very
well.
Mark,
very good.
We're very well
very
indeed.
Good, yeah.
Now, there's loads of football to talk about, but let's just get some tennis out of the way first. Yes. Because, of course, the final is on right now. You're there, right?
I'm actually on Ash, in one of the commentary booths that somehow is not in use. So
you're not actually meant to be. You're not actually meant to be commentating on it.
No, I'm not meant to be commentating. I'm also not meant to be in this room.
Oh, right.
So
okay.
if you think, wait a minute, he says he's watching the tennis. I am.
Yeah.
But obviously there's a lack of noise in the background because it's a soundproof booth. But I'm high up above Arthur Ashe watching Rafa serve 30-15 at one game all in the second set, having taken the opener 6-3.
Yeah. And what about the new women's champion? I saw her being interviewed and saying it hadn't really sunk in yet that she is actually the US Open champion. But she's been an up and comer for a while, hasn't she?
She has, yeah. And when the Australian Open was on in January, she was sat on her couch watching it with her left foot in plaster. So it's an amazing achievement. She always had a lot of ability, but I'm sure you saw her post-match kind of interview as well, and the press conference, and she got a check for $3.7 million. She's like, whoa, I didn't even know it was that much. And she's down there. She's very likable as well, and she's sitting beside Matt Dillon right now. All the stars are out, and she's now one of them as well because she's a US Open champion and a very likeable one at that.
Yeah, but it wasn't an extraordinary game. I mean, you get clobbered 6-love in one set and then winning the other set 6-1. It was just remarkable. And she came, I think she's 89th in the world now, unseeded in this competition. But as little as 3 months ago, she was nearly 1,000th in the world, wasn't she? Mm.
Yeah, you've got to put it into context as well, because she was playing on a protected ranking after the injury, which is possible to do in tennis and you can do it in golf as well. I mean, when she was at her best, she was a top 20 player, and she is. This isn't like not even a household name in her own house. This is someone that we knew about. We knew how good she was. She's done well in Grand Slams before. But the thing is that. You know what the interesting thing for me, Porky, is these two that I'm watching right now, Nadal and Kevin Anderson. Yeah. Kevin's been out with a hip problem. He was out last year. Rafa had his wrist problem. A lot of the players have taken time off. Andy Murray, Roger Federer took time off. And I just wonder if there's too many tennis tournaments played a human body's a human body, bottom line. They're asked to play 11 months of the year. And the best in the world do struggle because the more you play, the more kind of stuff you put on your body, exertions on your body. Yeah. Just because you're the best in the world.
Porky knows all about that, Mark. This is our seventh show. This is our seventh show in 7 days. After this, he starts to sort of deteriorate rapidly.
I think that's a bit harsh. But no, you're absolutely right, and this is part of the whole debate, isn't it, that Andy Murray's been banging on about for 2 or 3 years, that if you really want to win a slam these days, you've got to be very selective about the tournaments that you enter and those that you turn down. And within doing that, the politics of tennis then can turn against you.
Exactly. Look at Roger Federer. French Open, knew he probably wasn't going to win it because Rafa was going to win it, which he did. So he's like, you know what? I'm not bothered going. I'll take time off. I'll not play clay tournaments, and I'll set myself up for Wimbledon. Now, he had a back injury coming into this tournament, and he was 100%. And he was unlucky against Del Potro, but credit to the Argentine. But there's so many injury stories that accompany success stories as well. And I just wonder the kind of what it puts, the stress it puts on the human body if something can be done. The problem you've got with that is you take away a couple of tournaments, and that's the whole town or that city. That's all they are here for the year. That's how they make their money. So where do you take it away? How do you change the tennis schedule so that you're not putting those exertions on players' bodies? Because you want to see the best, and you've got to be selective if you're Roger. That shouldn't be the case, because right now You're not going to get Roger Federers in 10 years' time. You're not going to get guys playing to their 35, 36 because of the stress and the strains of their body.
Exactly right. Now, talking about stresses and strains, we've got the Champions League coming back this week, which we're very excited about. You know, a lot of British teams, including what is going to be a fantastic game up at Celtic against PSG. What do you reckon?
I just love the atmosphere at Celtic Park on a Champions League match. I've commentated on many matches there, and it's special from the "You'll Never Walk Alone" at the beginning. And I don't care if you're the best player in the world. You've got PSG coming, and look, they'll probably win, but there's something. It's the hairs on the back of your neck standing on end pre-match, and if you've got that noise, I suppose it's like Anfield before kick-off with "You'll Never Walk Alone." It's just the passion that these fans can have. I'm just pleased that Scotland has a representative, because there's nothing worse than being on the outside looking in.
Bit unlucky to have Bayern Munich in the same group, isn't it?
Well, yeah. It's a seeding system.
It is. I mean, I think that's a real bad stroke of luck, that, isn't it?
No, but it's a seeding system because, unfortunately, they are always going to be with too much bigger teams.
What I'm saying is that PSG with their enormous wealth and Bayern Munich with their, massive consistency in that competition, they could have got alternate teams. But anyway, I'm sure those nights will be marvellous nights.
Yeah, they could have done. Let's not forget. I know it's a while ago, but they've beaten Barcelona.
Oh, I know. Yeah, but that's
against Manchester United.
Yeah,
you're right. They could have had a much easier group, but I still think they've got a chance of finishing third in that group. Whereas last year it was just the worst draw that they could have had, and they finished fourth. I think they got Mönchengladbach as well. So it is what it is. I mean, the English teams, some of them have got good draws, others have got bad draws. You just have to take it. But do you know what, Porky? I think if you'd offered Brendan Rodgers that before the draw was made, I think he would have taken it. Because do you want to lose to kind of lesser glamorous teams, or do you want to compete against the best and say we gave it a good go? Because they will.
I know, but now that Scotland is a one-team nation, the importance of having an extended run in Europe is so important to rise.
For the money, apart from anything else.
Well, A, in the money, but B, just to lift the quality of the whole, country's presence in the footballing world above the average.
Yeah, this is a hard one for me, because I want Scottish teams in the Champions League, but Celtic are getting richer while the rest of us are standing still. So the gap domestically is going to get even bigger, and it's already huge between Celtic and the rest.
True.
It's a bit of damned if you do and damned if you don't here. So I don't know. I want Scottish teams playing in Europe. I'll support or want Celtic to do well in Europe, because the better they do, the more likelihood is the other teams who play in Europe won't have to start at the end of the previous season. It seems that early.
Yes,
no, exactly right. Now let's move on to a bit of NFL. Now I don't know if you managed to hear our podcast yet from Friday, but the quiz for Porky on Friday, because we're off to New York this Thursday coming to do our show on Saturday at the City Winery, right? And we're going to ask if you're going to be around, actually, Mark, because I don't know whether you are, but tell me that later. NFL kicked off on Thursday night, of course. Porky cheated in the quiz.
No,
got
I didn't.
8 out of 10, including knowing the answer, right, to what was the only team that O.J. Simpson played against in the only playoff game he only ever played in.
Yeah, which of course was
there's no way you would have known that without Google.
Pittsburgh Steelers. I didn't have any Google or anything.
No,
I
you saw the answers. That's what you did.
No, I did not.
Paid somebody off.
No, this is outrageous. I got 8 out of 10. I know my NFL. That's not a problem. I used to live in America like you do. And
well, look, the Seahawks are playing the Packers right now.
Yeah,
who's the Seahawks quarterback?
Just hang on a sec, will you?
Who's the quarterback?
I'm outraged that old Mike Graham here. Every time he loses against me in these competitions we have,
the quiz is not a competition.
He just gets malicious. That's
so you're not going to tell me the name of the quarterback for the Seahawks?
How many things do you want me to do at once? How many things do you want me to do?
It's a simple question.
I haven't even got the screen in front of me. I haven't even got an internal monitor.
Here's the deal, right? As an NFL expert, there's 2 quarterbacks playing right now between the Seahawks and the Packers.
Yes.
One is Aaron Rodgers, the other is Russell Wilson.
That's right.
Which team does Russell Wilson play for, the Seahawks or the Packers?
Of course he plays for the Packers.
Incorrect.
Seahawks. He plays for the Seamakers.
The Seamakers.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the Sailmakers. What are you talking about?
The Seattle Packers are a great side.
Trying to confuse me for.
The Seattle Packers are great. I like them. Anyway, listen, are you going to be available for any sort of consultations in Manhattan from Thursday on, is my major question to you.
Guess where they're sending me for work tomorrow?
Where?
Miami.
No.
Guess what's been cancelled? I've got to do voiceover work for a week on the World Cup, and I'm meant to be flying out tomorrow. Flight's been cancelled.
Well, you can't go to Miami in the middle of a hurricane, can you?
I was going to say, Miami might not be there by Tuesday. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm meant to be staying in Miami Beach. That hotel's been evacuated. I've seen some horrible pictures today. I mean, in all seriousness, it's horrible down there, and on the West Coast it looks even worse.
Yeah.
So I'm meant to be heading to Florida, and if not, I'll be in New York.
You will. Okay,
Excellent.
well, listen, we'll touch base because if nothing else, we'd like to get you on our show next Friday on Talk Sport, which we're doing live, the radio show from a studio in Manhattan.
That's right.
So
I would love that. If I'm not in Miami, I'll do my best to get there.
Okay,
That'd be great.
Stuff.
Good man.
Mark, thank you very much indeed. Mark Donaldson there from ESPN, who covers a vast array of sport. Tennis,
he certainly does,
he's at the US Open. He covers the football as well. Voiceover work he's got going on. He covers a lot of European football, Champions League stuff as well. Absolutely fantastic guy. We'll have to get him on at some point. Now, how about this from Adam, who says, Porky, I told you that bloke Sandro couldn't hit a barn door over here when he was playing for Malaga. Complete waste of money. Well, he was one of the players that came in the transfer window.
I think he's having a difficult settling in period, put it that way.
Oh, yes, absolutely right. Lots more to do, of course. Here's one from Jerry, who says, best of luck this week on your New York venture, Porky. Please don't sing on the flight and scare the other passengers. Now, obviously, there's lots of things you won't be doing on the flight. Certainly singing is one of them. I do not wish to be thrown off the plane as a result of any of your kind of, shall we say, over-enthusiastic antics.
I'm going to take a vow of sobriety, by the way, until after the show.
Are you?
Yes.
What, so you're not going to drink from Thursday until Saturday afternoon?
No, absolutely not.
What?
No, definitely not.
I don't think you can do that.
Well, I think I can, don't worry.
Why are you going to do that?
Because I want to have a very clear head about what we're doing in New York.
Really?
We've got 2 radio shows to do.
Yeah.
We've got to make a video, which is going to entail us moving all over Manhattan to various locations, Dakota and your old Gaff and Costello's and all that. We've got a terrific amount of work to do, and I think that will be it'll all come to a head when we do the live show on Saturday. After that, I might have a sherbet. Until then, definitely not.
My goodness me. Well, I mean, we'll be filming an awful lot, so if you have a drink, obviously people will know.
Yes.
So you'll have to be careful you stick to your plan.
Yes.
Donovan says this, surely if De Boer goes after 4 games, Steve Parrish has to question his decision to appoint him. To then bring in Roy Hodgson would be career suicide.
Yeah.
Although, as Simon Johnson said, everything is not necessarily being done simply by Steve Parrish now, because he's not the only person involved.
But he's still the front man for the club.
He still is, yeah.
Still the front man for the management side of the club.
But the American investors may take a view on De Boer, which may be exactly why he hasn't mentioned him by name.
I totally agree with that, but what I'm saying is Steve Parrish is publicly the man who is responsible for the appointment of De Boer. So therefore, as he was the messenger for the appointment, he has to be the messenger if the worst happens.
Oh, absolutely.
And De Boer has to go.
No, I get all that.
Yeah.
How about this from Peter? 50-50 chance of getting the Russell Wilson question right just then, and he messed it up.
No, I didn't. I didn't mess it up.
You got it wrong.
I didn't get it wrong.
You said he was from the Packers.
I was having a laugh with Mark.
Okay.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
I'm not worried about it.
Yeah,
This is Talk Sport.
Good.
This is Talk Sport. We are the 2 mics. Coming up later on in the show, we're going to have a bit of post report. We're going to have a Porky Sermon to set you all on the straight and narrow in case you've been sinning over the weekend. Now, let's talk to George, who's called in. He's saying, unbelievably, right, that it's another predictable season right now. I'm not quite sure where he's getting that idea from because we've seen some pretty unusual results so far.
Yeah.
Starting off, of course, with Burnley beating Chelsea. I think that was the least predictable result you could have ever come up with. George, what, have you gone mad, George?
Yeah, I think I might have. I've not really got a point. I've been down the pub, had a few pints. I thought I'd give you a call.
Yeah, good man.
Well, that's always a good idea as long as you've got something intelligent to say.
Yeah, well, I don't know. You can be the judge of that and your listeners. But yeah, I agree. It's so the same every season. You know, we're discussing the same. You know who's the top 4 is going to be. We know who's getting in the Champions League. We know who's in the Europa League.
Well, how do you know
who's
though?
going to finish, Brett?
Oh, well,
we all know it's going to be your Chelsea's, your Man U's, your Arsenal, your Liverpool.
Well, hang on. Let me stop you there because Arsenal are not in the Champions League this year.
Well, no, not yeah, but you know they're going to get it next year.
Well, hang on. What about 2 years ago, George? Or 2 years ago when Leicester won it? Did you predict that?
Well, yeah, of course I did, mate.
No. You see, you're talking drivel. You're talking drivel.
No, it's not drivel, but you know the season.
No. Here's what we want you to do, George. We want you to tell us who's going to finish in the top 4. Then, so you got Arsenal already, right? So you think Arsenal are going to be in the top 4, right?
No, I think it's going to. I think Man U are going to finish first, Man City second, Chelsea third, Liverpool fourth. Arsenal win the Europa League, they'll get in the Champions League. Then you're going to get your Everton, your Tottenhams, all the boring teams, and then your mid-tablers and your relegation.
So you don't fancy so you don't fancy Tottenham for the top 4. You think Tottenham are going to finish where?
I think Tottenham will finish 5th or 6th.
No, you're mad. Tottenham will easily finish in the top 4. I'm afraid they beat the mighty Everton yesterday 3-0. They're a very convincing team.
Oh yeah, the mighty Everton who will finish where? The same predictable where they finish.
Well, they're going to have to work. They're going to have to do a lot to finish 7th at the way they're playing at the moment.
Up their game, but anyway, look, George. When you say it's all very predictable and all that, I mean, you're not old enough to remember the 70s and the 80s, are you? When a different team.
I don't care about this. Who cares about the 70s, 80s?
Because a different team could win it every season. I think in the 70s, 8 different teams won the First Division title. Now, presumably, because of your rant about it's all predictable and boring, you would like to go back to that, yes?
Mate, what? Well, no. What? You know, last 5 seasons, apart from your Leicester incident, yeah. Mm-hmm. What's been different?
Well, the fact that Leicester got in there and smashed the mould of predictability.
Yeah. When all the other teams had no players and their injuries and they're all.
How do you think Huddersfield will do this season then? Because they're playing tomorrow night. They're playing a London team, West Ham. Yep. They're currently 5th, I think, with a game in hand.
They're just going to knock a few against them and they'll lose. It's as simple as that, isn't it?
Say again, what? Sorry.
Hernandez will knock a couple against them, and then.
What? So you're predicting a West Ham victory tonight?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, I mean, that's a very, very bold. I think we mean tomorrow night, actually, but that's a very, very bold prediction.
You don't know what day it is. Not know who's going to win the Premier League.
No, we know exactly which day it is.
Well, we know what day it is actually, but you're suggesting. So let me ask you who you think is going to be relegated then.
Relegated?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a different question. I don't know on that because it's the same battle, but you know the kind of teams that'll be in there. But it's predictable. We know what's going to happen, don't we? We know the team.
George.
You've got the teams in your head that will get relegated. You've got teams in the head that will win the Premier League. And we all know the difference. We've got all the mid-tablers, your Evertons, your Leicesters.
What is your alternative to predictability, George? What's the alternative? What do you think we should do? Have a draft system like they do in America, and then we can all swap each other's players around?
Yeah, that'd be good. You know, I love my WWE. That's scripted. You know, the Premier League might as well be scripted. You know?
No, well, it can't. You see, George. Well, you see, you're rambling nonsense about predictability.
Yeah, you
don't have an.
You shouldn't have had that last point.
You name a point that I've said that's wrong.
Well, you have no alternative to what you say is the predictability of the Premier League. What's your alternative?
Well, I don't know, but that's what I'm saying.
Of course you don't know. You see, you're an empty vessel.
Yeah, I'm afraid.
You're an empty vessel, George.
He's had, you know, when you have that guy that's standing in the pub and he's just had that 1 pint too.
Yeah, that's right.
Unfortunately, that's what George
empty vessels make the most noise.
Yeah. Now,
George.
talking of Manchester United, he thinks Manchester United are going to win the title, right? He thinks Manchester City are going to be second.
Yeah.
He thinks Chelsea are going to be third, Liverpool will be fourth. Have you seen Louis van Gaal has now claimed that Manchester United's decision to replace him with Jose Mourinho was all about money rather than football, and that he got more money out of them because he was upset by the way they fired him.
Well, he says, a quote is, I was publicly put on the gallows. He actually says that he was humiliated and that Manchester United knew they were going after Jose 6 months before they got rid of Louis van Gaal, and, you know, the final humiliation sacked him less than 24 hours after winning the FA Cup. He said it was a public execution.
Do you think most people who would have actually been publicly executed would have compared his sacking to a public execution? Because I don't.
Well, no.
He was given about £7 million, wasn't he?
I don't think he was given that much, but I think he was given several £1 million.
Well, several £1 million after what was considerably poor a run of form.
Well, you say that, but they won the FA Cup, and I'd very happily settle for an FA Cup now, believe me.
Well, you'd very happily settle for almost anything at this point, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, I think you're absolutely right.
Some people are actually pouring praise on you for finally being honest about Everton.
Well, what can you say? What can you say?
Well, you normally say things which are making excuses, but you haven't made one this week.
Stunning is the word I can use for those at Everton who, I mean, you've got to understand the expectancy at Everton this year is high, and it's been for about 25 years. Yeah. And everybody's praised...
But that's what makes it worse, I suppose.
Yeah, it does. Everybody's praised Mr. Koeman for this fantastic buying spree during the summer, started off early and got all the players, and yet we're still, according to, you know, those who study this sort of stuff, we're still short of a centre-half, we're short of a forward, and we've got a lot of midfield players. Louis van Gaal also said... The pressure was enormous. My head was in the noose. They went right behind my back. And my wife, Truus, Louis van Gaal's wife is Truus van Gaal, told me that the attitude of the board had changed. Women have this intuition.
How does she know?
Well, it says here, women can smell this. I denied it even to my wife because between me as a manager and the chief executive, Ed Woodward, everything was running as normal. But she spotted it. Van Gaal describes the way United launched their charm offensive to land Marino as the biggest disappointment of my life. Well, of course it's a disappointment when you lose your job, but I'm afraid, Louis, that
but he must have
didn't
known.
work out.
Yeah, but he must have known he was a stopgap measure, to be honest. I mean, to come after David Moyes.
I don't think he
he was a stopgap measure.
Remember, when he joined them, his team had finished third in the World Cup.
Yeah.
Holland, you know, Holland's changed.
Yeah, and look what's happened to them since he left.
The World Cup and
this time they haven't even qualified.
They must not qualify. It's true.
Now, how about this from Chris? I like this. He says, Palace will be the first team ever to go the entire season without scoring a goal. #uninvincibles.
Uninvincibles, yeah. Well, I mean, look, that is over harsh,
Yeah.
and it's obviously not going to happen because, I mean, that goal he missed today, that guy, Dan.
Oh, God.
I mean, you'd have to, if you didn't know better, you'd say somebody paid him to miss because it was such an open goal.
Do you know, there was a really interesting piece of, because I was driving around today when the match was on, listening to the TalkSport commentary, and there was a moment at which there was an incredible amount of alliteration going on because there was a guy called Lee, right? There's a guy called Me, and one of them injured their knee. And it was an incredible kind of piece of commentary.
What are you talking about?
Well, there's
knee.
Well, there's a guy called Lee playing, right?
Who's playing for China's national team.
No, there's a guy called Lee playing. There's a guy called Me playing.
Yeah.
And one of them injured their knee as they were involved with each other.
Which one injured their knee?
I can't remember.
Is it Lee or Me?
I was too busy trying to find out to see whether there was going to be another word used to rhyme with all of those.
Me?
Like, I just have to see or something, It was unbelievable. It was really funny.
Very odd.
How about this from someone who doesn't give a name? Mike Parry is the Arthur Daly of journalism. Proves how dodgy he is every time he opens his mouth.
Oh, that's very nice.
And Paul says if they hire Hodgson, they'll have to rename it Crystal Palace.
Oh, no, that's rude.
This is
No, I'm not having that.
You say that you love me, all of the time, You say that you need me.
We are the two mics. This is, of course, Talk Sport. Coming up a little bit later on tonight, we've got exclusive commentary of the New York Giants versus the Dallas Cowboys with Will Gavin and Greg Brady. Will Gavin's going to be coming in to tell us all about how excited he is about the new NFL season. I'm sure he and NFL expert Mr. Mike Parry will have a very meaningful conversation about all the games that have been played so far. And who Mike thinks is going to make the Super Bowl this year. Got lots and lots of tweets to read out to you as well. Keep them coming. You send them at the two mics or send them, of course, at Talk Sport. Got a message here on Facebook, actually, from Kieran, who said, so I was out shopping for a new tie recently in Maryland and came across this little gem stuffed deeply in the bargain buckets, and he sent me a picture of a Pierre Cardin tie.
Oh, really?
He said, apparently, since Porky declared his love for Pierre Cardin, they can't ship their goods for neither love nor money. The jinx in full effect. And he says, see you in New York.
Yeah.
So he's coming to the winery.
Good.
So you can look out. And one here from Richard. He says, any chance of a shout out for my brilliant wife, Maria, who ran her first half marathon at the age of 46. And she did it in 2 hours flat. It's pretty good.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
What's the lady's name?
Her name is Maria.
Maria.
That's a half marathon, mind you, not a full.
Was that the Great North Run?
He doesn't say.
Because, of course, if it is, then we have something very much in common. I've done the Great North Run.
Well, you walked it, didn't you?
Well, I had to walk it because only 1/3 of my heart works.
Well,
it doesn't pump blood around my body fast enough to be able to run.
I think that's what happens to your brain as well. It doesn't pump blood around your brain quickly enough.
Listen, a bit later on, we'll have a look at the back pages of tomorrow morning's papers.
Yeah, there's a lot of Crystal Palace news.
Well, it'll make a very interesting debate because depending on what our colleagues in Fleet Street have interpreted, De Boer's either very safe or very fragile in his position as manager of Crystal Palace, and that's why we've just played that Crystal Palace theme tune.
Glad all over.
By Dave Clark 5.
That's exactly right. Now, I have to say, I can't find any paper at all, I don't know which papers you're looking at, which have any particular good news for Mr. De Boer.
No, but we'll come to that in a minute.
We will.
Listen, I'll tell you what I want to talk to you about.
Yeah, go on.
I love the way that management of all sorts of companies, we've just been talking about Steve Parish managing Crystal Palace and all that.
Right.
Every company needs managing, and the latest, way to motivate your employees is what's called walk and talk.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and what happens is these think tank people. There's
like sort of management consultant.
Well,
types.
no, this is even worse. This is actually a government-funded idea from the Public Health England.
Oh yeah.
Which is one of them.
Oh, they always have stupid ideas.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's I think it must be a quango because I don't think it's part of the actual National Health Service itself.
No. Well, I bet it's subsidised to some extent by the Department of Health.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah. But anyway, it says employers should introduce walking meetings outside the office to reduce stress, back and neck pain, and other problems within the workforce.
What you mean for more than two people? You mean like a whole bunch of you are supposed to go out?
The guy who heads up this PHE, Chief Executive Duncan Selby, will say at its annual conference that there are perils of sitting at your desk all day, and it hemorrhages productivity.
Oh, yeah.
He says, move more, get up and about, walking meetings. I don't just mean in the office, I mean that managers should take their employees out and go for a walk and get some fresh air for a meeting. We're very keen on short bursts of energy.
Well, do you know, we used to do a form of that, didn't we? We were in Fleet Street. You would take somebody out for a walk and then you'd walk to the nearest pub.
Of course you would,
drink about 5 pints of beer.
That's right.
And discuss whatever it was you wanted to discuss and then go back to work.
That's right, yeah.
I don't know why people don't do that anymore.
I don't
Obviously,
either.
it's because it's unhealthy. Obviously, because it's probably not best to work while inebriated.
Yeah,
you might be in danger of doing something you shouldn't. But, I mean, there was an awful lot of going out of the office involved.
Of course there was. Mr. Selby said firms would benefit from getting their employees to spend less time sitting in a chair, more time moving around. The thing is, when you were in a pub leaning on a bar, you weren't sitting in a chair damaging your spine.
Exactly right.
So it's a very healthy pursuit.
But also nowadays, right, it's very unusual for you to be sitting at a desk all day. I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but certainly in our office here at Talk Sport, we have what they call hot desking.
Well, we don't have enough desks.
Well, there is that. But, I mean, surprisingly, it's not so much that we don't have enough desks. No. It's just that people are in at different times of the day.
That's right.
But I used to find it quite sort of off-putting when we were in last week and whenever we do the mid-morning show, that there's some guy sort of hovering about from about sort of 9 o'clock.
That's right,
who comes in
and
just kind of stands about.
That's right.
And you go, well, what's the problem here?
Yeah, what's the deal, man?
In the old days, you got the guy around the throat and said, just get out of my sight.
But
get out of the way.
This idea of walk and talk, right? This is where the management, they infuse you with ideas.
The management here tend to run away, don't they?
Well, I don't know about that. But I'm just thinking of one particular
especially
colleague.
when they see you.
I'm just thinking of one particular colleague of ours, Mr. Brazil.
Oh, yeah. He does a lot of going out to walk.
After his show every day, I think we'll have a walk and talk meeting now, and
we're getting a taxi.
Well, yeah. That's right, yeah.
He doesn't like walking up the stairs very much,
we go walking around the block while management try to impart knowledge into our brains. But as you quite rightly say, the throwing off the shackles of office discipline and going and talking in boozers in Fleet Street used to be the norm.
Well, I mean the fact that kind of a bonding exercise as well, wasn't it, for a lot of people?
Well, it was either a bonding exercise or it ended up with people thumping each other,
Yeah, not normally during the day.
That were,
more in the evening.
Yeah, it was more in the evening, I suppose, yeah. But talking about the NHS, by the way, it's another fantastic statistic which I've come across in my health journals.
Yes.
Did you know? It's quite remarkable. 1 in 10 of all beepers in the world.
Beepers.
Well, they still have bleepers. I didn't know we still had them.
I didn't know we did either.
You ring a number and you're actually bleeping somebody like a doctor and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay.
1 in 10 of all the pages in the whole of the world which have ever been manufactured are used in the National Health Service in this country.
Really?
Yes.
But, I mean, so maybe that's the only place you do use them. I suppose for doctors, they're quite useful pieces of technology.
Well, there's doctors all over the world. There's lots of doctors in America and there's lots of doctors in India.
Yeah.
But it says more than 1 in 10 of the world's pages is being used within the NHS.
Why?
A report looking at communications at the NHS said that around 130,000 of the devices are being employed at an annual cost of £6.6 million.
Oh, God, goodness me.
That's incredible.
That is incredible.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
It says replacing the 130,000 pages with the use of mobile software, so I suppose that means use your mobile phone instead, could save the NHS £2.7 million a year.
But, I mean, this is the trouble with the NHS. They have so many people working there that in order to give them all a phone or to give them all a beeper or to give them all anything, it's sort of billions of pounds.
Well, funny enough, when I was on the heart transplant list, I thought I would get a bleeper and all that. And this is going back
to say,
13 years now.
Your heart has come in.
And all they said was, they said, have you got a very efficient mobile phone? And I said, well, I've got a mobile phone because it's part of my job and all that. And they said, OK, never switch it off.
Right.
That is going to effectively be how we notify you when a donor heart is available, and you must respond within 20 minutes to the call.
But you never got one?
I never got one.
Well, wouldn't they have asked you to get one so that they could call you without them having to provide you with it?
What do you mean?
Well, you could have bought it yourself. You could have bought your own, couldn't you?
Well, they said they preferred the mobile phone. That's the point I'm making. And so I don't know why there's still 130,000 bleepers 13 years on, still in the National Health Service.
It's a very, very bizarre business because it's not run like any business that you would ever run a business like, if you know what I mean.
No, but I'm not.
It's run by people who are profligate with money. Well, no, I am, because it's run by people who don't care about the cost.
I think it works quite well. My personal experience is it works quite well.
It works quite well in certain areas. I think that's what I would say.
But I've always said, make this point, that I think there are too many people in the back office, i.e. those, anonymous people.
There's way too much money being wasted, that's the
point. And not enough people supporting those who are in the front office, the doctors and the nurses.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
Now, I was slightly distracted talking to you there because I was watching on the TV screen the Matt Ritchie incident today between the Newcastle and Swansea players. Did you see that? Where he put his foot up almost like Mane did for Liverpool, but didn't get red card, he got yellow card.
That's right.
And in some ways, you might argue it was actually worse.
Yeah, you might argue it was worse. And
but that's on the back pages as well, so we'll have a look at that, I guess, a bit later on.
In the original instant with Liverpool's Mane, which changed the game enormously. He was voted Premier League Player of the Month, Mane. So he's obviously been very effective for Liverpool in the early games of the season.
And I think there's
you lose your
no
most
doubt,
effective player, and you've got a problem, haven't you?
And there's no doubt that, as a lot of people said, he wasn't intending to do any damage to the game.
Well, I don't think he should have gone off under any circumstances at all. I thought that he.
Well, I mean, all the arguments that have been made about why he went off is that the letter of the law says it's a red card. Well, in that case, why is Matt Ritchie not getting one?
Yes, that's right.
If that's the letter of the law.
And funny enough, I thought Al, who is on holiday at the moment, I think he's over in Spain.
Yeah.
Was obviously watching the game. In fact, he put out a picture of himself watching the game in a bar in Spain. Yeah, but he sent out a tweet saying that the boy's eyes were on the ball all the time. He didn't have any intent to injure the goalkeeper, and he had the intention of trying to flick the ball over the goalkeeper's head.
Also, on the match of the day last night, Alan Shearer and Ian Wright both said that they would have gone for that ball.
That's right, of course
in
they
the
would,
same way that he did.
Of course they would.
So there obviously, once again, seems to be an anomaly about the way that referees are making decisions.
And yet Matt Holland, who was my co-singer in the Christmas rendition of Maggie May, said immediately to people around him in the, I think it was in the Arsenal press box yesterday, they were watching the game, before their game started. Said, absolutely straight red right away. So that was from a professional footballer's point of view.
Yeah, but there's been a lot. I mean, Joey Barton didn't, funnily enough, so there's been a lot of toing and froing. Anyway, we'll talk about that a bit later.
Yes.
Mike says this on Facebook: I've been on Planet Porky for 37 years tomorrow. I would love a birthday shout-out, as I'm always a day behind on the podcast. Bladderation in moderation tonight.
Who is that?
His name is Mike.
And where's
he
from?
In Bangkok.
Bangkok, Mike in Bangkok.
Yeah, keep up the bickering, he says.
Okay. If you're having a bladderation celebration for your birthday, in moderation, of course, I hope you have a great day.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you very much indeed.
37's a great age. It's half of 74.
Yeah.
And by the time you get to 74 will be 64.
This is Talk Sport. Now, I believe at the moment this is one of the competitions which we do, which is actually Even Stevens.
It is.
Unbelievably, you were handed the 1 minute moan. People are starting to wonder really about Ross now, our producer on a Saturday.
Oh, I don't think
for the
so.
warm up, because now that you've promised him, VIP seats to go and watch his beloved Everton.
No.
He keeps giving you.
No, I haven't.
This, when you had, what was your ridiculous 1 minute moan about? It was something about tomato ketchup.
It was, that mayonnaise has now overtaken sales of tomato ketchup. Mayonnaise has now mayo, as we call it, has overtaken sales of tomato ketchup. I have to say, I think that the British people have got to rally against this and get out and buy some tomato ketchup.
Yeah, did you buy some over the weekend?
I didn't need to because I already had a lot.
Oh, okay. Now, this is winners and losers, of course. So would you like to start with one of your losers? Because we do the losers first, and then we do the winners next.
Okay.
At the moment, it's 2-2 at the moment, so this could be a bit of a decider.
Okay, well, I'm going to start with my first loser.
Yeah.
Louis van Gaal.
Louis van Gaal.
Because I'm afraid that the moaning and whinging now, over 12 months after he lost his job at Manchester United, is just unnecessary and too late. Why doesn't he just get on with his life? You know, he as you quite rightly said earlier, he took a big payoff. He got out of Manchester United. Jose's taken over. Everybody would have forgotten his rather pitiful reign at Manchester United and just put it down to history and the handover between Sir Alex Ferguson and Jose Mourinho and the bit of collateral damage in between, which was him and Davy Moyes. They'd all have forgotten about it now. Instead, he comes out and starts whinging about my public hanging. I was humiliated.
Yeah.
They talk to Jose every 6 months. I'm sorry, that is loser territory.
That really is. I think I'd have to go along with that. My first loser of the weekend is going to be Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. Right, because he had his first game for Liverpool at the weekend, and unfortunately they got absolutely hammered by 5-0 by Manchester City, right? Now, when he made his first game for Arsenal, guess what the score was?
Go on.
They lost 8-2.
8-2.
Was that not that epic match against Manchester United?
Yes, I think it could be.
His last game for Arsenal, right? Do you know what the score was?
No.
They got beaten 4-0 by Liverpool.
4-0?
Yeah. So his record, right, his first game for Arsenal, lost 8-2. Last game for Arsenal, lost 4-0.
Yes.
First game for Liverpool, lost 5-0.
5-0, yeah.
So I have to say, poor old Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain doesn't have the greatest of what can only be described as statistics.
Exactly. I totally agree.
Okay.
Right, my second loser, I'm afraid it's got to be Dan. And this is the guy who missed the open goal today, which could have given Mr. Frank de Boer...
Yes, his first goal.
His first goal.
In the Premier League.
And a share of the points in his fourth Premier League game. But, I mean, the way the guy lost it was... The reason I'm branding him a loser is you could say, oh, he was unlucky, he missed. But his concentration factor must have been so poor. And one thing a Premier League forward has got to do is concentrate.
Yes.
You know, when a ball's about to come to you and you've got either your head or your foot or your chest,
whichever part of your anatomy.
You've got to concentrate on that, sphere which is spinning in front of you and do something about it.
Yes.
And he failed miserably, so I'm afraid he's a loser.
He is indeed. Now, my next loser is going to be actually from a foreign field, and it is Zinedine Zidane over at Real Madrid. They drew with Levante at the weekend on Saturday.
Yes.
Draw with 1-1, and their first 2 home games they have not won. And do you know the last time that happened?
Right.
It was 1995.
1995.
So they've had the 2 games that they haven't won at home for the first time since 1995.
Yes.
They're sitting somewhere like 5th in the table.
Yes.
Right. Now, they've got Champions League coming up, obviously, this week. And supposedly Zinedine Zidane was resting some players because of the Champions League. But that's pretty pathetic for Real Madrid, a powerhouse team of the world, right?
Yes.
One of the best teams in the world, the current Champions League champions, in fact, to be in such a terrible state.
Yeah.
So Zinedine Zidane gets my second loser's vote.
Really? Yeah. Okay,
What do you mean, really? Yes, okay, fine.
Well,
you're not even listening, are you?
I am listening.
No,
I am listening.
You're
I'm
not.
listening.
I
Don't
can
worry.
tell you're distracted.
No, I'm not totally distracted at all. I'm listening to you, and I think you're absolutely right.
Really?
So
You need to do another loser.
Yes, my loser, right?
Yeah.
My third loser
Yeah.
is, in fact, the referee, Mr. Moss.
Mr. Moss,
who sent Mane off
Yeah.
in the Liverpool-Manchester City game.
Okay.
I mean, this is from a personal point of view. I did not think it was in any way a red card offence. I believe in physical contact between footballers, otherwise we lose physical contact.
I mean, he did really almost take the guy's head off.
Well, if we lose physical contact in the game, we might as well all go and play rounders rather than play football. I would concede that if it was deemed to be a reckless rising of the foot, then it should have been a yellow card. But at the end of the day, fortunately, the goalkeeper wasn't badly injured, but it reduced the game to a pitiful state of affairs. 5-0 victory then for Manchester City, which didn't represent the difference between the two sides, and that was down to Mr. Moss, the referee. He is my third loser.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say that. What I'm going to make my third loser is the actual city of Liverpool.
Yes.
Not because of what Mr. Moss did, but because of the fact that Liverpool got tonked 5-0 by Manchester City, and then Everton, shot a couple of hours afterwards, got tonked 3-0 by Tottenham Hotspur. And it could have actually been 5-0, to be honest, because they had a couple of goals disallowed as well.
Yeah.
And in fact, I think Manchester City had a couple of goals disallowed. So for the weekend, I mean, you'd only just said that it was even Stevens up in Liverpool now between Liverpool and Everton.
Yeah.
But the only thing that's even is the fact that they both got humiliated on the football pitch. It was pretty unfortunate.
They even Stevenly got walloped at the weekend. That is true.
They did. So the city of Liverpool is, in fact, the loser for me.
Yeah.
Now we need the winners, of course.
Yes.
Everyone's a winner, baby. That's no lie. That's no lie. You never fail to satisfy
Now it's time for the winners. You can, of course, vote in this, because what we're going to do is we're going to put this out to the public vote.
Yes.
Even though Mr. Parry appears to always have an advantage when we do that. It will be, of course, available as soon as we finish the winners, so there's no gerrymandering involved, and the voting will be open for an hour. Would you like to go first with your first
winner?
With your first winner.
Okay, my first winner, is John Motson.
John Motson?
Yes, we interviewed John Motson on our show last week.
Is that why he's a winner?
He's a winner because he has announced his retirement after 50 years behind a microphone. An outstanding contribution to our industry, but an outstanding contribution to all football fans everywhere for the delight with which he has, described the games over the years and the colour and the flair he's brought to the reportage of football. A truly great guy. John Motson, my winner.
Okay, and he was great speaking to us. We'll have to get him on again, actually. Yes. My first winner is Chris Froome, who has cemented his place among the greats of cycling by becoming the first British winner of the Vuelta a España in Madrid, which was, of course, earlier today. He's done that on the back of his Tour de France victories, and it's a double that he's done in the same year.
Yes.
So pretty amazing, really.
Yes.
And the winning margin was 2 minutes and 15 seconds, which is a very, very long way in a cycling tournament. Now, I know you don't like cyclists, I know you don't like to recognise them, but I think in this particular case, Froome is the superstar of cycling currently. And the other thing I like about it is he sipped a celebratory bottle of beer and a glass of cava on his way to the Spanish capital. Now he only had to cross the finish line, so he was actually had a drink.
Very good.
While he was still involved in his athletic endeavour.
Very good.
Which is good.
The only cyclists I don't like are those who arrogantly believe they own the roads at the expense of motorists who pay for the roads upon which they're cycling.
Okay.
Right, my second winner has got to be Harry Kane.
Yeah.
I mean, Everton's defence didn't exactly put up huge barriers in his way, but his
they
two
were
goals,
pretty awful, weren't they?
They
I mean, that's the thing that surprised people the most, in a way.
Yeah.
That you've said before, you've hired all these midfielders and they haven't got many strikers. It was actually their defence was so bad. Well, it was as if they had no defence.
Harry Kane's second goal they just passed it around, up towards the penalty area, then pushed it into the penalty area. He was completely unmarked when he stroked the ball home, and it was a very precision way of doing it, because I'm sure you saw the goal. Usually those sort of goals can easily be missed because he was glancing it off his right foot into the far post of the goal to beat the goalkeeper, who actually had a very good game. Believe it or not, it could have been 6-0 without Pickford in goal. But Harry Kane's scoring record now means that he's got to 100 Premier League goals almost quicker than almost everybody who's scored, except I think Jimmy Greaves in that time. So he's done a tremendous job, and I think he's going to be brilliant for England for probably a decade to come. So he's got to be a winner.
Okay, I'm going to go with Rafa Benitez for my next winner, because poor old Rafa has had a hernia operation, which for those people who have had it tell me it's very, very painful. It's very, very painful recovery as well.
Yes.
You can't do much. You have to just sit very still. You can't move around much. You can't really laugh. You can't really cough. You can't really operate as you would normally do. But he was able to watch his team from afar while sitting on his sofa actually get another 3 points, and they've moved all the way up to 10th Newcastle now. So they've got 2 wins out of 4, 2 losses as well, but that's not bad for a team that have just been promoted from the Championship, of course. Not doing quite as well as Huddersfield, but doing a lot better than Brighton. So I would say Rafa Benitez deserves to be patted on the head for getting a win when he wasn't even there by remote control.
Okay, fine.
Last one for you.
My last winner is Joe Root, the cricketer, because England did win the series against the West Indies despite a hiccup in the middle of the 3-test series, but came back, and Joe Root, outstanding, I thought, in the final test, and got to be a winner.
My final winner is actually Jamie Murray. Andy Murray's brother. Andy Murray wasn't able to play in the US Open. The US Open final is on right now. And we'll be hearing, I'm sure, more from Lisa O'Sullivan, who's watching it for us. But basically, he won the US Open mixed doubles. So I just wanted you to know that, because sometimes these things don't get noticed. And Jamie, obviously not as good of a player as Andy, but he and his Swiss partner Martina Hingis added the US Open to their Wimbledon mixed doubles crown with victory over Michael Venus and Hao Ching Chan at Flushing Meadows. So it is, in fact, a Grand Slam victory for a British tennis player, which appears to have gone over a lot of people's heads.
Okay, it does. It has gone over a lot of people's heads, because I don't think a lot of people regard it as being a particularly significant sporting achievement. Certainly not that to equal Joe Root, England captain, securing
beating the West Indies, who were one of the worst Test teams in the world.
A Test series.
You should have taken it away from him. You should have made him a loser for actually not beating them without losing a Test.
No. They had a wobble in the middle Test, which could have upset a lot of people, but Joe Root's England captain kept his nerve and saw us through to Test series victory.
Well, I've got to tell you that I've now just put out the vote, so you can do it. I'm going to pin it to the top of the Two Mics account. It will be open. The voting will be open for an hour.
Yes.
You can vote for me or Mr. Parry.
Yes.
And you can vote right now. 59 minutes left, it says. And we'll be doing that very, very shortly.
But remember to vote Porky, please, and vote often.
Right. Coming up shortly, though, we'll be doing the Porky Sermon as well. This is TalkSport.
TalkSport.
And it's in!
A diving header at the end of a 50-yard run. From the root to the tip. TalkSport.
This is TalkSport. We are the Two Mics, and of course, coming up later on, it's a very, very important broadcast because for the first time, the NFL is going to be live on TalkSport with Will Gavin. Will, welcome, and very good evening to you.
Almost for the first time, because already tonight we've had a live game over on TalkSport 2.
Well, this is on TalkSport, though.
Yes, but this is on what we call the big station, the daddy, the big brother.
Yes.
From 1 a.m. this morning, the New York Giants at the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
These two teams have opened up the last two seasons against each other. They've been 1-point victories either way the last 2 years. We're hoping for another repeat tonight, another close, exciting game of football.
Well, the Giants used to be my team when I was living in New York. Porky, of course, who claimed that he had 8 out of 10. I don't know if you heard the Porky quiz.
I've heard about this, and this sounds...
You must have a listen to it.
Well, you need to listen to it, and then you'll find out exactly how, I evaluated each question and analytically came up with the answers.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I've previously had conversations with you about American football, Porky, that wouldn't suggest that you get 1 out of 10 on a quiz about the NFL, let alone 8 out of 10.
More than that, whenever it's ever been mentioned in the past, he's always just poo-pooed it as a ridiculous sport that nobody's interested in, particularly when we've talked about the numbers of people who come all the way to Wembley to watch it from around the world.
4 games, 80,000 plus people at every one, completely sold out for this year.
Yeah.
It's bound to go up again. That new stadium at Tottenham, I don't know if you've seen the pitch, which will be rolling out and rolling in to allow an NFL team in there. It's all systems go. It's becoming a much, much bigger sport here, and you can look at TalkSport, where we've got the most comprehensive, the most ambitious NFL coverage ever put on UK radio over the course of 12 hours.
Is it going to be on TalkSport 2 as well over the course of the night?
Every Sunday night, 5 p.m. on TalkSport 2. You'll have all the build-up, you'll have the Jacksonville Jaguars live, and you'll have Around the Grounds on all the other games. And then from 1 a.m. here on TalkSport, we switch to here and we have Sunday Night Football, taking the live game right through again until 5 a.m. So 12 hours across the two stations. And the reaction so far has been fantastic.
And tell our audience, how long does a game actually last these days, Will?
They're about 3 hours.
When you say these days,
do you think
they're not as long as they used to be?
No, not at all. Not at all. When I was in the States, and was supposed to last 60 minutes, they last about 3 hours, don't they?
There's a big focus more and more so in the age where people are using a second screen, where they're tweeting, where they're doing everything else, to try and shorten every ad break. So they're trying to make every game a lot tighter and try and get it down to closer to 2.5 hours.
This is exactly what I meant, you see. You don't understand this, MG, do you?
Yeah, no, I used to actually cover... I told you before, I wrote a column for the Mail on Sunday about the NFL. I've covered NFL games. I've actually been to NFL games, which you haven't, of course.
Yeah, well, that's completely and utterly irrelevant.
Why is it irrelevant?
Well, have you ever sat in Parliament and watched the debates? Yeah. Well, I have as well.
Yeah. So what's your point?
Well, the irrelevance of
what's your point, caller?
The irrelevance of you saying, have you been there and all that.
Yeah, but you see, when I went to Parliament, I was usually invited as somebody who was quite an important person to be there, not just to be on the bladderation trail in many of the bars there.
No.
And they went, here's the door where they're actually having the chat in the chamber.
I was usually in the press gallery. But anyway, Will, getting back to this subject, what can we expect tonight then?
So tonight, as I said, the New York Giants and the Dallas Cowboys, 2 of the biggest franchises in the NFL, 2 of the most heavily supported teams here in the UK as well, and 2 teams who both went to the playoffs last season, who both look like very, very good teams going into this year as well, and some absolute superstars on the field. You've got Ezekiel Elliott,
very fond of the Dallas Cowboys because, of course, they were J.R. Ewing's team, and J.R. Ewing is one of the people that I most admire in life, you know what I mean?
Yeah, even though
he's fictional character J.R.
Well, I don't care whether he's fictional or not. I thought his values...
I sometimes wish Porky was fictional.
I thought his values and mine coincided in quite a
he was also a bit
areas.
of a scumbag and a cheat and a blackguard.
That's a bit harsh.
Well, that's what he was.
He was also very wealthy and dynamically successful in business,
and he was
makes
also
it good.
A criminal as well.
Well, I don't think that's
a murderer.
I don't think that's a very fair accusation.
Does this mean that you'll be able to go and cover? I know you normally cover it anyway for your podcast. Will you cover the Super Bowl this year for TalkSport? And if so, where is it being held?
The Super Bowl will be live on TalkSport on the first Sunday of February in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Oh no,
not the best of cities for the Super Bowl.
That's a terrible place to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be my 4th year going, and between San Francisco and Phoenix and Houston,
you want to bring. You know what's weird about Minneapolis, right? Is
that it's going to be minus 15 degrees.
No, but the interesting thing is you don't ever have to go outside.
Well,
they've got this network of tunnels, right, and connecting sort of bridges between all the buildings. So when you park your car underground, you never have to actually go out into the open air.
They have on the week of the game, they have this thing called Radio Row, where there's 600 radio stations from around America, plus us. We roll up as well.
Surely you'll be getting
all
Porky
tables,
on as an expert.
do all the interviews, 100%,
yeah,
obviously.
Exactly. But I do love it in a cold climate. I think it's so much. There's so much more atmosphere in a cold climate than a hot climate, don't you think?
From all the NFL games you've been to.
Absolutely. I love to see the boys running around with piles of snow on the edge of the field and all that kind of stuff.
And unfortunately, the stadium in Minnesota is an indoor stadium.
Yeah, so they won't be seeing any snow then.
Not on the edge of the field.
Not unless they bring in some fake snow. They can bring in some fake snow.
But they'll see plenty of it outside on the approach to the stadium, you oaf.
Yeah, well, they know what else they won't do, which is what they love to do here with the Emirates.
Yes.
You know, Boxing Day games off because there's a bit of snow on the pavement, for half an inch. There they get about 20 feet of snow, and they can still manage to put it on, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And apparently we're all going to get there through underground tunnels and walkways anyway.
Oh, you will.
To be believed.
Yeah, it's tremendous. Great stuff. Well, I can't wait to hear it.
Okay, well,
I'll be driving on the road for about an hour after I leave here, so I look forward to that very much. Is there something? I mean, obviously, one of the things that happens on TV when the game's on is that they go straight to the people who are doing all the analysis while the commentary's not happening. You know, because there's going to be long periods of time when there isn't any play, as Porky pointed out. When there's an ad break.
That's
so
right.
What do you do for that?
So our team who are out there, we've got Kevin Kugler, who's a top play-by-play. He's the Sam Matterface, if you will, of American football. Yep. He's going to have Mike Mayock alongside him, who's a top NFL expert. Sorry, the Jim Proudfoot of American football. He'll have Mike Mayock alongside him. They'll be analysing the game. And then when there are timeouts, ad breaks, etc., we'll be coming back to the studio here in the UK. It'll be myself, Greg Brady and Ollie Hunter. We'll be taking you right through. We'll have highlights from the early games, which are going on as we speak. We'll have interviews that we've conducted with players from the early games. Loads of stuff for you, so it will keep the pace going in a big way.
Sounds very exciting.
Sounds fantastic. Well, good luck with it all. I'm sure you won't need that, but what a fantastic addition to the TalkSport sort of family of stuff, basically.
Mike Graham, I appreciate your sincerity. Mike Parry less so.
My sincerity is at 100%.
Yeah, I would say it's like adding big pizza pie to the TalkSport menu. Yeah,
great. That works for me. I'm a big fan of pizza.
Absolutely,
something like that. How about this from Steptoe? It says Porky having to work tonight, the first proper NFL Sunday of the season. He will be totally gutted, missing all the action. Now you don't have to miss it.
Well, I don't have to miss it now, do I? It's all here. Right, okay. Now, talking about all things American, thanks, Will. I've been waiting for this note all night from Damien. He says, once again, country music lost another legend. That is Don Williams.
Oh, yeah.
It says, can you play I Believe in You by Don or One for Porky by Haggard, Misery and Gin?
Misery and Gin, that'd be Merle Haggard, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose so, yeah. This Don Williams guy...
You don't know Don Williams? He was a massive name in the world of country music. I think he was a guy that was sort of similarly imbued with sort of legendary stages as Johnny Cash, maybe?
Oh, I don't think so.
Didn't do quite as much crossover stuff as Johnny Cash. No, Don Williams is a massive name in country music.
Who's the guy now who's like... I think he's the biggest selling star in America, wears a cowboy hat and plays country music. Who's that?
Yeah, I know exactly who you mean. Yeah. I can see his face. I can't think of it. Yeah. There was a guy, actually, quite a well-known guy killed the other night, funnily enough, in a helicopter accident.
Ooh, that's not
who
good.
was flying to somewhere in New Jersey to do a concert.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the helicopter crashed.
Went down, did it?
Terrible, yeah. How about this from Jack, who says, after spending 25 hours in the company of Mike Parry during the course of this week, MG must be going mad.
Yeah, well...
I have to say, actually, I'm feeling quite sane at the moment.
I think you've been going mad for quite a while.
I have, but I'm getting used to you see.
Okay.
Jim says, a close call for winners and losers. Porky's surprisingly sensible for once.
Yes.
No Jerry pandering, please.
No, exactly.
Vote once. And Joanne says, shout out for me, please, listening with aching knees after doing a Parry today in the Great North Run.
Oh,
so
really?
the Great North Run must have been today.
Oh, it was today.
Yeah, there you
because
go.
Didn't you hear on the news that old Mo Farah won it, didn't he?
I didn't hear on the news,
Did
no.
Mo Farah win it?
Why wasn't he in your winners
Was it
then?
Mo Farah?
I don't know.
Who won it?
I don't
It was
know
Mo
who won
Farah, and he won it for the 4th year on the run.
On the run?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it is a running race.
Well, it's a running race,
Yeah.
and of course, you wouldn't know anything about running races like that.
No.
Right, now then, I'm going to give you the first update on the vote for winners and losers.
Yes.
I have just voted myself, as
Have
I'm
you?
entitled to do.
You voted for yourself, did
Yes, yes. And the score, à ce moment...
At the moment.
Yes, that's right.
I shall translate.
Is Porky Parry 52, Michael Graham 48.
Thank you very much.
Keep it going, folks. This is brillianto.
Yeah,
okay?
47 minutes left. There's that number again.
Yeah,
Isn't
that's
it amazing
right.
how often
47
that
minutes
comes
left,
up.
yeah.
Chris says, think this is the hardest one I've had to call. MG mentioned, as he puts it, the fat Spanish waiter, which is rather unkind, as a winner. So for me, it has to be Porky.
Yes,
See, this is
thank
the
you.
trouble. Sometimes people allow their individual sort of tribal football loyalties to interfere instead of choosing the winner on the basis of actually, you know, who's got the best one.
Yes,
You know?
yes. No, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly
Yeah.
right. Okay, now, I've got something for you here, which I think is quite amusing. And it says, the age at which men are the most boring has been revealed.
Yes.
And do you know what that age is?
No.
39.
39?
Yeah. What were you doing when you were 39?
39, I tell you exactly what I was doing.
I bet you weren't doing anything particularly boring.
No, I didn't do it. I've never done anything boring. Well,
you have been boring, though.
I think I was restructuring my life as the US editor back in stateside.
Oh, what you mean you'd been fired from the Express News desk?
I think so.
For the Benlin episode.
I think I was that age when that happened, yeah.
So you were in DC, plotting to become the next political editor of something or other, and then you decided to jump ship.
Yeah, I did actually, yeah. But I did the Clinton campaign first, went around the States with Bill Clinton and then did the election, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Which, funny enough, I did with Sandra on the same night as
Sandra Lee.
went
Sandra Lee's coming on
That's
tonight.
What I mean.
So
went
you
down
can talk about it.
to Little Rock in Arkansas.
Yeah, Arkansas.
Yeah.
Now, this is a survey that's been done by Airbnb, right? Surveyed 2,000 people. Apparently, the age at which people are most likely to be either trekking across the desert, dancing on bar counters, or taking up base jumping, i.e. doing something quite exciting, is 27.
Right. You see, I don't get it.
I got married when I was 27.
You got married when you were 27?
Yeah.
That was a mistake, wasn't it?
No, not at all.
Really?
No, it was very good.
Didn't
It was
last,
a very good idea.
though, did it?
Lasted nearly 15 years.
15?
Yeah, it's quite a long time.
Yeah,
I mean, imagine being stuck with me for that length of time.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not easy. And I had two beautiful children as a result. In fact, they're both going to be at the show in New York
Well, that's great.
on Saturday.
That's good news,
My
isn't
son
it?
from California is flying in.
Yeah, that's
So
great.
you better be careful how you speak to me because he's very, very tall and will slap you around if you get out of order.
I don't think he will. He sounds like he's rather a decent young man.
He's
so
very decent.
They don't go
he
around
won't
slapping
take.
people around.
He won't take kindly to you, you know, abusing me. Is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah, okay. Well, that won't happen. Don't worry.
Good.
No, I just think that 27. If you've got nothing better to do than go base jumping, then you really. Your career's not really taken off if you're looking for some distraction like that, you know, some pointless distraction.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Porky's housekeeper has tweeted in saying Garth Brooks is the country star Porky was
That's
thinking
the one.
of.
That's the one.
Is that what you're thinking of?
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, look, and these are the things that make you a fun and exciting person. So I thought I'd ask you.
Right,
There's
go on.
10 things to see whether you're going to try any of these out.
Okay.
Staying out until the early hours on a weekday. Well, you're doing that tonight.
Well, yeah, but hang on. Are we talking about at 27, at 39,
Any
or
age.
now?
Any age. Things that make you a fun and exciting person,
Right,
according
staying
to the
out
poll.
to the early hours?
Yeah.
I don't do that anymore.
Okay. Trying out a new hobby.
I haven't got any hobbies. Hobbies are for losers.
Hobbies? You
Yes.
haven't got any hobbies?
No.
Well, isn't Everton one of your hobbies?
No, it's an interest in my life, which
Okay.
I've had since birth.
This next one you're not going to like. Going out of the way to make a new friend. You're more likely to go out of the way to make a new enemy.
No, I'm always trying to make new friends, but people always seem to misread me.
How about number 4, booking a spontaneous holiday?
I don't go on holidays. No.
Number 5, learning a new skill.
I've got plenty of skills already, which I seek to keep home to perfection at all times. I don't need any new skills.
Visiting a friend unannounced. You haven't got any?
Well, that's true, actually, yeah. And if I did have, I wouldn't visit them unannounced. And if anybody tries to visit me unannounced,
you won't answer the
I
door.
won't answer the door anyway.
How about this one, changing jobs?
Well, that's sometimes...
You've been doing that for a while.
No, I was going to say that's sometimes another person's decision, not mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Going on a spontaneous shopping trip.
I do that quite a lot.
Are you going to do any shopping in New York, by by the way?
Might do.
Do you know what I found last time I was there?
What?
Remember we used to go there and buy loads of stuff because it was a lot cheaper?
Yes.
Because the pound is so terrible now, it's actually not worth buying anything.
Right, okay. I'll tell you what I might be doing on Sunday afternoon, by the way, in New York.
Oh, yeah.
Going to a rather nice sports bar to watch Everton play Manchester United.
Oh, okay. Well, I can recommend one for you.
Exactly, on the Sunday afternoon.
The Football Factory.
And I think we should announce in advance where I'm going so I can meet a few of our
Well, you should go to the Football Factory.
Yeah, okay.
But I think it might be a bit of a haven for Liverpool rather than Everton. But you never know.
What makes you say that?
Because I know about the place, and that's what...
but Liverpool aren't playing that afternoon, Everton are.
Right, okay. Well, that's the place to go.
Okay.
Finally, two more. Number 9, asking someone out.
I haven't done that for a long time.
No.
No?
You're going to do that anytime soon?
No plans to, but these things I've always found throughout my life, they happen spontaneously.
Really? Okay. Trying a new sport is number 10.
No.
Not about any NFL?
Well, I already am a master of that, as evidenced by the quiz. So I don't need to. I don't need to discover that, do I?
No, you don't.
Already know about it.
This is Talk Sport. Now, we're just about still in Sunday because it's 10 minutes to midnight, so it's time, of course, for those of you who like to get a little bit of spiritual guidance on a Sunday, time for the Porky Sermon. Now, what we do, for those of you who haven't heard it in the past, is I will read a passage from the good book.
Yeah.
In this case, it is from Leviticus.
Yes.
Chapter 1, verse 3. You may be familiar with it.
I am.
I'm going to read it to you. And you're going to interpret it into the modern way of life for people to listen.
Okay.
And so it goes, right? If the offering is a burnt offering from the herd, you are to offer a male without defect. You must present it at the entrance of the tent of meeting so that it will be acceptable to the Lord. You are to lay your hand on the head of the burnt offering, and it will be accepted on your behalf to make atonement for you. You are to slaughter the young bull before the Lord, and then Aaron's sons, the priests, shall bring the blood and splash it against the sides of the altar at the entrance to the tent of meeting. You are to wash the internal organs and the legs with water, and the priest is to burn all of it on the altar. It is a burnt offering, a food offering, an aroma pleasing to the Lord.
Okay.
Here endeth the lesson.
Yeah, okay.
Now, it's quite specific, that, so I don't know how quite that is going to be translatable into the modern world.
Well, it is translatable. This is all about there's no such thing as a free lunch, okay?
Okay.
That's what basically we interpret it in the modern vernacular, okay?
Right.
Because I'll tell you line by line what it means. If the offering is a burnt offering from the herd, you're to offer a male without defect, okay? Now, the burnt offering means the lack of...
Is it not when it's ruined or something?
The lack of sincerity. Because when you make an offering, if it's a burnt offering, it's almost like slap in the face, you know what I mean? It's a sort of... what can I say?
An insult?
No, it's damning with faint praise. Damning with faint praise, okay? So then we come to the line. You must present it at the entrance to the tent of meeting so that it will be acceptable to the Lord, okay?
Yes.
Well, that really is nothing to do with about a tent. You know, it's not like a tent like the sort of thing that...
Well, it's not like a tent that people are inside.
No, that Colonel Gaddafi used to pitch in his back garden and all that kind of stuff and tie a camel to the post outside to make him a man of the people or anything like that. What it means
Tie a camel?
He used to tie a camel to the post outside his tent.
Okay.
I know that because I once saw it there, and I went in the tent and jumped up and down on his bed. Everybody thought he was dead.
I thought he was gone, though. He wasn't there.
No, they thought he'd been assassinated.
Did he tie the camel up and just walk away, then?
Well, he had the camel there permanently outside his tent.
I see.
Yeah, it was fed by somebody else.
Okay.
Anyway, so what we're talking here about going to the person who's in charge and making sure that the offering, even if it's a burnt offering, goes to the right person.
I see.
Now, you are to lay your hand on the head of the burnt offering and it will be accepted on your behalf to make atonement for you. This means that, you must open your mind to compromise, okay?
Right.
Because we can't have a situation like we've got now, perhaps. This is a world situation, maybe between President Trump and...
Kim Jong-un.
Kim Jong-un from Pyongyang.
Pyongyang, yes.
And if things in Pyongyang are going badly and things in D.C. are going badly...
It's gone a bit quiet over in Pyongyang at the moment.
It's gone a bit quiet in Pyongyang.
Which is good.
And things in D.C. aren't good, then what you have to do is you have to say, well, let's try a bit of compromise. Now, the next line. You are to slaughter the young bull before the Lord, And then Aaron's sons, the priests, shall bring the blood and splash it against the sides of the altar at the entrance to the tent of the meeting.
Yeah.
So you are to slaughter the young bull before the Lord. Then Aaron's sons, the priests, shall bring the blood and splash it against the sides of the altar.
That all sounds a bit gory to me.
Well, it's not. What it's saying there is it's saying that, don't be put off or frightened by authority. You must say to the authority is represented by the altar, we splash blood on you because we are your equal, okay? And then finally, the last line, this is probably the most prescient explanation that we need from this text, okay?
Yeah.
You are to wash the internal organs and the legs with water, and the priest is to burn all of it on the altar. It's a burnt offering, a food offering, an aroma pleasing to the Lord. What that means is, do not take anything at face value. You must wash the internal organs and the legs with water because the internal organs are usually not seen. They are the organs internally.
Yes, that's right.
They are not externally.
Well, you see them when you presumably cut the beast open.
Yeah, that's right, but you've got to get to those, and the priest is to burn all of it on the altar, i.e. get to the core of the problem, deal with the essence of the problem, put it on the altar and burnt it all. It's got to be a burnt offering, because that's the only way you get to the source of the problem. A food offering means that it is something which is of particular need to those to whom you're giving it, and an aroma pleasing to the Lord means that at the end of the day, sweetness and light will prevail.
So is that the final message then?
That's the final message.
Just be a decent person.
Be a decent person, sweetness and light will prevail. Don't be afraid of compromise. Make sure that you're open and honest about your dealings, and, always go to the core of the problem for your solution.
Okay.
So
almost exactly opposite of how you live your life. That was the Porky Sermon. Thank you very much indeed.
It was.
Got a nice message here, actually, from James, who says, I tuned in and I'm listening to the show, guys, at St. Luke's Hospice in Cheshire with my dad. You guys have given me plenty of laughs over the last few weeks during a tough time for myself and my family. Keep up the brilliant work. So best regards to your dad, James, who obviously isn't very well.
James, very sorry to hear about that. And did you say you're up in Cheshire or
Chester? Cheshire, a place called St. Luke's Hospice.
St. Luke's Hospice. Okay, well, I hope everything works out, mate, and life throws these things at us, so just be resilient.
Indeed. Now, I've got some updates for you on the winners and losers vote as well. It is standing at 50-50. 33 minutes left to go. It is, 50-50.
No, I'm going to have a look at my vote. Hang on.
Well, you said you've already voted.
I have voted, but I mean...
You can't vote more than once.
No, I'm going to check on what the voting is.
Yasmin says this, I haven't forgiven Porky for that cheating on the NFL quiz, so it's MG for me. John says MG all the way. Ryan says has to be MG. Porky's were rubbish. Tracy says Mr. Parry for me this time due to some good choices.
Thank you.
Vicky, rather sadly, I have to say, very disappointingly says vote Porky, vote often.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, you can't be doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, let me have a look here.
And then Andy says this. Sorry, Porky. Joe Root scored one run in the third test. Jimmy Anderson's career best.
Yeah, but he was...
Second innings return of 7 for 42 was far more significant.
No. He was the captain. He saw us through, and that's what you say. You say
but you said he was too young to be made the captain.
Well, he's proved me wrong.
Well, I told you were wrong about that.
No.
And James says if Porky didn't think Mane deserved a red card, he deserves to lose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I'm sorry.
No need to apologise.
OK, this seems to have got down to 50-50. So, come on, the Porky Army, could you rally, please, and get voting quick? I can't afford to lose this one because I have a position to maintain here at TalkSport, and that means dominating MG in these public votes.
I know this is what you like to do, but don't get carried away because it's not life and death. This is, of course, TalkSport. Loads more coming up.
I don't believe in superstars, organic food and foreign cars. I don't believe the price of gold, the certainty of growing old, that right is right and left is wrong, that north and south can't get along, that east is east and west is west, and being first is always best, but I believe in love.
What do you think of that?
Drivel.
It's the kind of stuff you love.
I hate it.
It's the kind of stuff you like.
Drivel.
You like Neil Diamond. Why would you like Don Williams?
That's country music at its worst. The lyrics were childish. I mean,
guy's just passed away.
Oh, was he? Oh, sorry about that, but I mean, it's still drivel. And
I mean, you could be a little more generous in
your critique. It sounds to me like some guy in a check shirt with a Stetson on, holding a guitar, standing on a hay bale, and singing to a bunch of people who are line dancing. Well, it's just not me.
Thanks very much for that.
Yeah. Sorry.
Now, I've got a terrible tweet here from Naomi in Sarasota, who was asking earlier, by the way, that she said, I haven't still heard the podcast of the show where you passed the pen to me that she sent in all those weeks ago
when
I was away on holiday. Name? It's Naomi in Sarasota.
Naomi in Sarasota. Now, do you know, I'm so glad that she's contacted us, Naomi in Sarasota.
Oh, yeah.
I tell you why, because I lost the letter that you accompanied with the pens.
Oh, really?
To which I was going to reply to you personally and say thank you. And for some unknown reason, within my extensive paperwork...
well, your filing system's not very good, is it?
Well, other people look after my filing system for me, and I've said, have we replied to the lady who sent us the pens?
Yeah.
But can I tell you this, if you're listening, Naomi?
Yeah,
Naomi?
she is, Naomi.
What time is Postman Pork?
Sometime this hour, isn't it?
You're going to be included in that, Naomi, and I'm going to present the pen to you tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
very good.
Yeah.
But more sadly than that, she says, sadly, we're not sure if we will make it to New York City next week, because she was going to come up from Florida, because she says it depends on whether we have a house when we get back to Sarasota tomorrow.
Well, that's true.
Hurricane Irma, #HurricaneIrma.
Because it
must be an awful situation to be in, because, of course, everyone's been evacuated. We're seeing some very bad footage of the damage being done both to the eastern coast and the western coast of Florida. So all we can do now is wish you all the best and hope that that the house is not too badly damaged. Because we'd love to see you in New York City.
And that goes to everybody out there, by the way, who's suffering any sort of a problem. I mean, listen, I just cannot comprehend how people are going to cope with the destruction that has been wreaked across the Caribbean islands so far. It's horrendous.
Yeah, it really is. And some of those Caribbean islands have been more or less wiped out completely.
They have,
haven't they? And a lot of people actually have been critical of certainly some of the British-run ones because they haven't been protected properly, and there's been a lot of looting and a lot of crime.
That's what they're saying. I once stayed in St. Lucia, and I stayed at a hotel called the Ants Chasney, okay?
Oh, yeah.
And this hotel, and that's probably 20 years ago now.
Yeah.
And the guy who built it single-handedly was a British/Dutch type entrepreneur.
Well, he built the hotel.
Yeah, but and he went out and he started building it with he built villas on the edge of the mountain. You see what I mean? And then
was it near the Pitons? Those two
very
big
close
mountains?
to the Pitons.
Okay.
It's called the Ants Chasney. It didn't even have a swimming pool when I first went there.
Really?
Because he'd just started. It had a little restaurant. It had the sort of the villas on the side of the mountain and a path down to the beach. Sort of private beach and all that.
Yeah.
And then he opened up a diving and snorkeling centre. And then.
So you went back more than once then?
Yeah, I went back about 2 or 3 years later, had a swimming pool and all that kind of stuff. But it was a really beautiful, classy joint. And it's the sort of thing that would have been wiped out by the hurricane, because if you think that all the bedrooms were actually villas built into the side of the hill, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
In a clearing where they'd cleared the trees.
Yeah.
That will all have been blown away.
Yeah.
I've seen pictures of some of the
I haven't
destruction.
seen anything from St. Lucia, actually. Has it been hit quite badly, then?
I don't know if it has, but
because apparently the Bahamas escaped, more or less. Apparently sort of glancing blow.
That's right.
So a lot of the properties on the Bahamas are okay.
They say that Miami itself might escape, and that might only be a glancing blow as well.
Because it kind of came across the south of Florida, hit the Keys, and up as far as Vera Beach, which I used to know actually quite well.
Yeah.
Now, a couple more tweets have come in here. We're going to look at the back page in a sec as well.
Yeah, we are,
Laura says, I'm not voting for Mike Parry. Harry Kane is not a winner after yesterday's defeat. I'm still licking my wounds. She's an Everton fan, of course.
Well, I'm licking my wounds. What's the lady's name?
It's Laura.
Laura, I'm licking my wounds, but I've got it here. Laura McCann.
Yeah.
Not voting for MP. Harry Kane's not a winner.
I've just read it out.
Yeah, but Laura, the thing is, you've got to face facts, and the facts are we were dreadful, I'm afraid, and you just can't deny that. And Harry Kane took advantage of our very disorganised defence, and the guy is a great English footballer.
It's true. The Crackhead says, you've got to make these easier, lads, talking about the winners and losers poll. I mean, I don't know how much easier you need to be making the winners and losers competition. It's not complicated.
Yeah.
All you've got to do is vote for who you think had the better winners and the better losers.
That's right. Francis sent us a note here. Oh, yeah. She says, the Porky Sermon, Gaddafi splashing blood, internal organs. What on earth was it all about? Francis, I believe to be, I think it's a woman. You can have a Francis who's a woman, can't you?
Francis is a woman. We can be, yeah.
Yeah.
Usually is, actually.
Yeah.
It depends with an E or an I. Like St. Francis of Assisi.
No, an E.
Is with an I.
No, this is an E.
If it's an E, that's usually a woman's name.
And she has a bit of spirit. She says, if at first you don't succeed, there's always champagne. So that's a good philosophy to have in life.
It is, even though if you drink it, you'll die.
Yeah, if I drank it,
or so you've always claimed.
Yeah.
Now, on the back pages, you said that depending on which paper you looked at, there was a sort of variety of outcomes for Mr. Frank de Boer. But I don't see any which are in any way good. There's a picture of him on the front of the Telegraph Sport, which says, total football. Yeah. No points, no goals, no future. De Boer on the brink after Palace make the worst start in Premier League history. Yeah. At the Times, De Boer's job on the line after a fourth defeat.
Yeah.
We've got De Boer fears for his job as Palace could turn to Hodgson on the back of the mirror. Surely that can't happen. Surely, to goodness. Hodgson is a target for Palace job. The Daily Mail's got that one as well. De Boer on the brink, says the Express.
Yeah, well, the Star says...
I mean, you know, defiant
De Boer's in the dark. Frank de Boer last night admitted he doesn't know if he's set for the job at Crystal Palace. Eagles boss is fighting for his job with his side still without a point or a league goal this season. And the other one was, let me see.
De Boer hangs on is the back of the Sun.
Yeah, that's right. And the Telegraph, no points, no goals, no future. De Boer on the brink after Palace make a start.
Out.
Yeah, okay. And the De Boer hangs on, David Facey. Steve Parrish appeared to stand by. This is the one that I said might be a contrary view. Steve Parrish appeared to stand by as Crystal Palace manager Frank de Boer, tweeting, "We have to stick together." So this is the Sun back page. They've interpreted that as being a supportive gesture and one from which he can take heart.
Well, maybe so. I certainly don't see it that way. They've decided they prefer the story, right? By the way, about Matt Ritchie and the kind of inconsistency, shall we say, of the referee's decisions.
Yes.
With regard to foot on face.
Yes.
Because obviously Mane got sent off, as you said, in a very key game for Liverpool against Manchester City, but Ritchie, playing for Newcastle against Swansea, only got a yellow card.
Yeah, you see, I can't understand why people are so short-sighted as to say, oh, we want consistency from referees. The thing is, there is not a referee's code where they all think the same.
No, I get that.
Referees interpret things the way they see them in a split second.
I understand that.
So you can't ask for consistency.
Well, you can. You can't. You can at least try to expect it, because in the end, the bottom line is all those who have said, I think Mane was badly treated and it was unlucky for him, but yes, it was a red card. Many of them footballers, right? Because they say it is the letter of the law. And unfortunately, you have to have the letter of the law carried out. Now, if somebody puts their foot that high that it hits somebody in the face because their face is at normal height, then surely it's an automatic red card, which Ritchie should have been. No. Ritchie's actually looks worse to me. Yeah. Than Mane's.
Yeah, well, as I say, this thing about, you often see managers after the game say, oh, just want consistency, because this happened to me last week and he only got a yellow. Now it's happened to me and I've got a red. And you can't have consistency. Referees interpret each situation individually.
Isn't that
and it's on the merits,
though? Isn't that defeatist? No. Because you should at least strive for it. I understand your point, and I get your point. Yeah. Because you're saying it's an unlikely outcome.
That's right.
Because nobody thinks the same way, nobody sees things the same way. But you should at least strive for it, shouldn't you?
Well, I don't know how you can strive for it unless you get 12 referees in a room together and say, right, now then, we must all see things the same. You can't.
Haven't we supposedly reached this point now where they're going to have this panel of people who are going to look at the events of the weekend? Haven't we reached that point? Didn't they say they were appointing a panel? Where, there's 12 of them, but only 3 every week actually look at it.
Yeah, but I think that's for retrospective diving, isn't it, in particular? By the way, that was... Do you remember the start of the... which game was it? The start of the game today. The forward is Newcastle forward, wasn't he? He tried to dive into the area.
Yeah.
And he neither got booked, neither did they get a penalty. Yeah. I think that one's inconsistent
with the other, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Well, maybe they're going to look at that, but I think they should look at this kind of thing as well, because these are very important. But, of course, the trouble with retrospective kind of vision and wisdom is
legislation.
that it's not going to help Liverpool, is it? Because Liverpool got slaughtered, as you said, because the game changed irrevocably when Mane was sent off.
I
mean, even if you reverse the red card, they still lost 5-0.
Well, this is what I've banged on about before. Jack, what's his name? The great Everton player who went to Manchester City and then disappeared into oblivion and ended up at Sunderland.
Jack Rodwell.
Jock Rodwell, thank you very much
Jock
indeed.
Rodwell.
No, Jack Rodwell. Not
he was
Jock,
in Scotland.
Jack.
Jock Rodwell.
He got sent off in the early minutes in Everton-Liverpool derby at Goodison, right?
Yes.
And when the red card was challenged the following Tuesday, it was rescinded. But that didn't help Everton, who played for 75 minutes with 10 men.
Not exactly.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
And lost, by the way, I think 2-0, certainly 1-0, 2-0.
But also, there's weird things happen. I was talking to somebody about this the other day because I heard Tim Vickery talking about it.
Yes.
In the World Cup qualifying games in South America, I believe both Chile and Peru.
Chile?
Yeah, and Peru. Well, if you call somebody from Chile
was it?
a Chilean, you call them a Chilean.
You call them a Chilean?
No, you don't.
Yeah, you do.
No, that's Chilean Murphy you're thinking of.
Chile does not exist. The country is actually Chile.
Well, when you go to...
I've been there.
When you go to Chile, you'll hear them pronounce it that way.
No.
Yeah,
if you go to Chile and go to the Atacama Desert, or go to their capital, Santiago, where lots of people stagger around bladderated for a lot of the time, I noticed.
Including you, presumably.
Yeah, including me, definitely, because the wine is very cheap.
I had some very nice Pinot Noir, actually, from there the other night.
I'm sure you did, yeah. Then
see the time, by the way.
You'll realise it's Chile.
Do you mind if
Chile.
I finish my story?
Yeah, please finish
Instead
your story.
of interrupting me constantly. The point is that apparently, I think it was Bolivia or one of those other countries in the sort of middle of the South American continent had played an ineligible player.
Yeah.
And so the deciding decision made by the World Cup committee was that instead of the result, which was actually the real result, and I think Peru had tied with them, and Chile had lost, I think. That basically they would be given a win, and they'd be given a 3-0 win.
Right.
So suddenly the whole table looks completely different because they're both they got more points than they actually have, and they got more goals than they actually have.
Really,
which doesn't seem fair, does it?
It doesn't seem fair.
I mean, it's very difficult. Anyway, also Arsene Wenger features in a couple of these back pages as well.
Yeah.
On the back of the Independent, Arsene Wenger has revealed that it was the values at Arsenal that persuaded him to turn down Manchester United when they asked him to replace Sir Alex Ferguson at Old Trafford. So I wonder if actually...
When was that supposed to be?
Well, he says it was supposed to be after he would retire in 2002. Because remember, Sir Alex was going to retire and then he decided not to retire. But I wonder if that was because they couldn't get Arsene Wenger.
Well, the point is that he would never have been offered the job again when Sir Alex Ferguson finally retired, would he?
Because he wasn't as such a winning record by that
Exactly. He'd run out of steam.
I was going to say, maybe they went back to him again, though, and then David Moyes was the poor man's second choice. Then Jose Mourinho's had another go at him, apparently. This is on the back of the Sun, who he says, Jose said in an interview, I have no idea how Arsene Wenger is still in charge at Arsenal.
No, but he said that before. He said that if I'd have had
a news story, it's on the back of the paper.
Yeah, I know, but if he'd have said, he said in the past, if I had a run of failure for as long as...
Well, he's called him a specialist in failure,
as long as Arsene Wenger, I wouldn't be there. And I tell you what, the name Roy Hodgson keeps popping up on the back of these pages. I can't believe it. But on the back of the Mail, Hodgson is the target of Palace job. Crystal Palace are set to accelerate their search for a new manager after Frank de Boer's disastrous start continued at Burnley yesterday. Sam Allardyce and Roy Hodgson are two of the candidates under consideration, with de Boer on the brink of becoming the first managerial casualty. His team slumped to their fall. But, I mean, why Roy Hodgson?
I know. I think he's just
can't be that desperate, surely.
No, surely not. I think he's just got a good PR man. But we'll come back to more of it because we're running out of time. This is Talk Sport.
Hello, this is Tim Vine on Talk Sport. It's Mike Parry's postbag. I can't wait to see what's in there.
Postman pork, I eat my chips with just a fork, 'cause then I can still talk.
That was, of course, Tim Vine singing the praises of Postman Pork.
That's right.
He can't wait to find out what's in it. What I'm being told by you is that there is at least one gift in it for me.
Yes, there is,
which has been held back for many a week.
No, it hasn't. You've been away and all this.
Well, I was away in Greece at the end of August,
We will get to that right away,
It's now the second week of September.
Right, let's get to it first,
well,
okay?
Let's do that first,
First of all, look at that beautiful box it came in.
That is lovely, isn't it?
And this is from Naomi,
Must be a big pen.
So I opened this and I got a letter which has nothing to do with it. But there's an envelope.
What do you mean
a
letter's got nothing to do with it?
Well, that letter's relates to something else. It's some sort of a picture somebody sent me.
Oh, what you mean? It's not from Naomi?
No, it's not from Naomi.
What, so you put some other things in the box?
No, didn't put anything else in the box. By the way, look at this card somebody sent me, a Beatles card. Look.
Okay.
Very
nice.
And it's walking across the,
that's clever,
the crossing, isn't it? Yeah.
They're not written in it, though.
Hey?
They've not written in it.
They've sent me a letter instead, but that's nothing to do with it either.
Okay. All right. You've only got about 8 minutes left to vote, by the way.
I know. So we're going to do
I don't mean that now. I'm just telling people 8 minutes left to vote in the winners and losers poll.
Now, I've got to thank Naomi for these pens because they are absolutely beautiful, right?
Yes.
First of all, they are, I'll show you. First of all, they are in a turquoise ribbon.
Yes.
And we undo the turquoise ribbon.
Right.
And there's a black leather pen holder underneath.
Very nice.
And if you take this out, these pens are the best in the world.
Are
They're
they?
called Mont Blancs.
Oh, very nice.
And there's two. There's this one, which I've just shown you.
That's very expensive, isn't it?
Yeah, which
I
is
hope
the
Naomi
black
didn't
one,
spend a lot of money on this.
with the traditional top of a Mont Blanc pen.
And
then
is it a
another
biro?
one. It's a biro, yeah. Well, it's not biro. It's a.
But it's not a fountain pen.
No, it's not a fountain pen. And then there's a silver one. Okay. And again, with the very traditional
very nice.
Mont Blanc top.
Well, I
on.
should have the silver one, shouldn't I? You should have the blue one, since you're an Everton fan.
I'm going to give you the silver one from Naomi.
Very kind.
And that's from
Thank you very
Naomi.
much.
And
beautiful pen.
And the turquoise
Naomi, you're too sweet.
ribbon.
I really hope you didn't spend a lot of money on this,
Naomi,
honestly.
I want to say thank you very much.
That's
It's the
gorgeous,
most
isn't it?
magnificent gift. It writes beautifully. It's the best.
That's lovely.
Can be said to be, and it's actually not it's not what did you call it? A biro. It's
got a sort of
it's got a fluid type device,
Oh,
which
it's like
is much
a
better than
rollerball type thing.
Yeah.
I see what it's also got is a sort of a see-through almost dome at the top. Has yours got that as well?
Yeah. Yes, it has. Yeah, that's what I mean. That is the very traditional Mont Blanc logo, symbol, or definition of a pen. Or
beautiful pen.
And the refill that I've got with mine says...
you got a refill?
Yeah.
I haven't got a refill.
Yeah, but this is because this is like a rollerball thing. It's the Mont Blanc ball pen refill. Because this is like a special one. I think
no, it's the same pen, though.
No, it's not. No, they're different pens, honestly.
Are you sure?
Yeah, mine's a ball pen refill.
I think... why can't I have the refill?
Well, because yours is a different sort of refill, and mine's a more rare one, so she sent me a spare one. But it's a terribly
Are you sure
kind...
you haven't lost the other one?
No, I haven't lost the other one at all. So thank you very much indeed.
No, I mean, that's very kind. And all we can do is reiterate, hopefully, your house in Sarasota is going to be okay.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be in any way unable to come to New York. That's obviously not the main concern. The main concern is your house is okay. But,
and a very lovely painting sent by another listener.
That's nice.
Of the two of us.
Very nice.
I'll show you all that later, okay? But they're right. So, but that is terrific. Now, let's get to some of these others, because we haven't got much time.
We haven't got a lot of time, no.
Right, here we go. Postman Pork, this says, the two mics, TalkSport, Hatfields. The address is Postman Pork, TalkSport, 18 Hatfields, London, SC18DJ. And that's what this package says, which I'm just about to open now. This package came in fact, just Friday of last week. So it's one of the most recent ones. And as we open it, what do we see inside?
And what is inside? Do tell.
Okay, bar of chocolate.
Of chocolate?
Dairy milk caramel.
Oh, nice.
Very nice indeed, thank you. And a note here from our friend Roy Dracula in Croydon.
Oh, I like Roy Dracula.
Dear Sir Mike, after the spoiling success of your Elvis Presley solo tribute, how about a regular Porky sing slot on the programme?
Oh, no.
With you performing standards by the greats, Presley, Sonata, Matt Monro, maybe even Doris Day.
How about Don Williams?
MG would be great on backing vocals. You could do an album at a reduced rate. And, of course, and with every purchase, you get a free card of Porky scratchings. Let the people decide. And, of course, I think you'll find... that's probably a response to the fact that my Elvis impersonation was voted, was it not, clip of the month.
Do you know, I'm not sure. It's certainly been shortlisted for clips of the month. I'm not sure.
I won it. I think I won it.
I think you have to go and vote for it.
I think I won it. Right, here's another package here. This is special delivery. Mike Parry, Postman Pork, TalkSport, 18 Hatfields, London, SC18DJ. Thank you very much indeed.
Naomi in Sarasota, by the way, says the card and the letter was from her.
Yes.
So, you said it's nothing to do with the pens.
What, the card, the Beatles card?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well,
and the letter.
And the letter.
What did the letter say? Did you read it out?
I can't find the letter.
Did you not read it out before?
No.
When you first opened the pens?
No, I didn't.
Really?
No.
Why not? It's a shambles.
No, I did when I first read it out. Yeah, but the letter's gone missing in my filing system.
Really?
Could Naomi please?
Well, you wanted to resend it?
No, I wanted to resend us an address. She can DM an address or something like that, so I can...
Well, you have to follow her on Twitter if you want to DM.
Yeah, that's right, and thank her with a proper letter back. Now, I'm trying to open this one, but it's very strong glue, but I'm getting there. Right?
Do you want some scissors?
No, it's done.
This is the worst Postman Pork ever, apart from the fact that I've got a beautiful pen out of it.
Yeah, here, look, it's open now.
Go on, then.
What we got in here? Let's have a look.
Yeah, try not to bang the microphone.
This comes, by the way, from a postal address, which is 88WC1 8DP. So that's Central
88?
London.
88 WC1?
Yeah.
That's not a proper address, is it?
Anyway, it's here. And it's Mike Parry, Mike Graham, the two Mikes oddity.
Oh, yeah.
Picture of us on the back, which you like, but the one on the front is just outside Lime Street Station in Liverpool.
Yeah, this is a guy who made the song for us, isn't it?
Okay, well, that's very nice indeed.
It's a version of Space Oddity.
Space Oddity. Yeah. It's from Phil.
I'm not entirely certain he's got the copyright sorted out on that, to be honest.
A couple of months ago, Paul Puccioni mentioned he had kindly shown you my musical tribute to the two Mikes. I wanted to send you both a copy of the song on CD. If you like a track, here are a few ideas you were done with it. Video could go with two Mikes. Release the audio if not so. Anyway, look, we'll read all that, and I want to say a big thank you to Phil.
Yeah.
info@refindthis.com. Thank you very much indeed.
That's his Twitter handle as well.
That's very nice of you. Right, another one here now.
We're nearly out of time here. By the way, there's only 2 minutes left to vote in winners and losers. At the moment, it says 53-47 in your favour.
In my favour. That's very good. Excellent. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Right, here's a letter here.
Who's that addressed to?
Dear Porky and MG. A few weeks ago, Porky blocked me on Twitter for no apparent reason. I've tweeted the both of you as well. Mike show, as the two Mike show multiple times.
Yeah.
Most recently, I was wondering, as I haven't given Porky a reason to block me, if he could actually unblock me. I didn't realise as I had blocked you. This is Josh Wilkinson, Nottingham Forest fan from Maidstone, Kent.
Okay.
Thank you for taking this into consideration. Can you unblock me? If I can find your account, John, I certainly will. I don't like blocking people for any reason at all, and I don't know whether that's just a mistake.
Naomi sent an update here. She says there were 2 refills.
2 refills?
For the pens, yeah.
Okay, there was only one in the box.
Well, I bet you can't see the other one.
No. But
I feel
anyway,
like I'm getting short-changed here.
Not at all.
Well, give me the other one then. Maybe we wait until you find yours.
Yeah. Well, no. And here we go. I'm opening another one now. This is Mike Porky Parry Post Report Talk Sport. I'm opening this now and seeing what it says. It's Newquay Cricket Club.
Oh yeah.
President Tony Roberts, but this is from Sam Millett, the honorary treasurer.
Oh yeah.
As a philanthropist, cricket fan, former captain of the King's School Chester Third 11, supporter of the armed forces, an all-round good bloke and man of the people. Is he talking about himself or me?
He's talking about you, I think.
I'm writing to you in my role as secretary of Newquay Cricket Club near Tintagel. That's the...
Tintagel.
Tintagel is the King Arthur's castle.
That's right.
To beg for some much-needed help for our community cricket club in deepest, darkest Cornwall's grounds in an area which suffers from antisocial behaviour and substance abuse. Don't want that, do we?
Well, the cricket club does.
Yeah.
Really?
Outfield mower and pitch roller both died at the same time. They need costly replacements.
Right,
we'll have a look at that appeal. Sam, thank you very much indeed for getting in touch.
Well, good,
very kind of you. See if we can help. And then
I thought you were going to say they've been stolen. Do you remember we did a story about how those people are getting
they said they just
stolen?
died. They just sort of expired. Right, big parcel here. Again, addressed to Postman Port, 2 Mikes Talk Sport. I'm just opening it now.
Yeah.
And once again, another bar of chocky.
More chocolate.
Yeah,
very
more
nice.
chocolate. Thank you very much indeed.
Which
it's
one
Dame.
is this?
It's the Dame. You know the stuff that's like nutty in the middle?
No.
You know what I mean? Dame? Yeah,
No.
it's kind of, you break it, and it's got like nutty little bits in the middle.
Well, like sort of butterscotch.
Yes, that's right. That's
I don't know I've ever had that.
Let me open the book because it's quite a lot here. Dear Sir Mike, as a student of many journals, here's one you may not have seen before, Dragonfly News, with all the latest news from the world of dragonflies and damselflies. Hopefully...
How much news can you handle from the world of dragonfly?
I don't know, but it definitely is Dragonfly News.
Well, they have their own drag races.
The magazine of the British Dragonfly Society, spring 2017. This again is from Roy Dracula, our old friend there from Croydon. Well, thank you very much indeed, Roy. It's very, very kind of you.
Okay. I'd much rather you found the other refill, to be honest.
Well, don't worry about the refill while I'm doing this because, you know,
well, it's important
what you're talking about is one refill, and we're talking here about a load of stuff which has been sent in. I want to thank you, everybody.
We're out of time now, aren't we?
That was a terrific...
it was a shambles.
Pork. No, it wasn't. It was terrific.
Absolute shambles.
Thank you very much indeed.
But it's a bit it's about time you gave something back, though. So I agree that you should buy some gardening equipment for the Newquay Cricket Club.
I will definitely have a look at that. I promise you.
Okay,
I promise that will be examined.
That was Postman Pork. Coming up, we're going to talk to Sandra Lee.
Thank you.
Postman Pork, I eat my chips with just a fork, 'cause then I can still talk.
Do you come from a land down under? Women go and men wonder. Can't you hear the thunder? You better run, you better take cover.
This is Talk Talk Sport. We are the two mics. Just half an hour to go now until the big game between Dallas Cowboys and, of course, the New York Giants. I can tell you, Mr. Parry, that thanks to 552 votes, the final result of winners and losers is 52-48 in your favour.
In my favour.
So that makes it, I think, 3-2. I think
it certainly does.
And I'm delighted to say we seem to be finding all the stuff from Naomi in Sarasota
we
as
certainly
well.
have.
So we'll be getting all that sorted
I've
out,
even
Naomi.
found her letter
I've
now as well.
I've managed to put Porky's head back on the right way.
Yeah.
So we've actually managed to try and catch all this stuff. Yeah. Although we still haven't found the second refill, to be fair.
Yeah,
now, that music, of course, tells us that we have to talk to our very good friend, our correspondent, our favourite Australian, Ms. Sandra Lee, down in Sydney. Sandra, very good morning to you.
Good morning to you too, chaps.
Now, we've missed you because our schedule has been sort of moving around a little bit of late, and so this is the first opportunity we've had to chat to you for a while, so it's delightful to do so. Now, Porky has become a sort of aficionado of a couple of sports recently. One, the NFL, which he suddenly decided he likes, and two, Aussie rules football, because he's been watching it on the TV screens here in the office, and he can't work it out. So I thought you, as a kind of a fan of the Sydney Swans, I think I'm right in saying, would be able to explain it to him.
Absolutely, and Porky is a man of infinitely good taste if he's taken up AFL, because it is seriously the best game in football around the world, bar none.
Well, Sandra, it's great to have you on the airwaves again. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. And my most puzzling observation was the huge size of the pitch. I mean, it looked bigger than a cricket ground. It's circular, didn't seem to be any borders, and there were 4 posts at either end of either side of the circle, and I didn't quite get it. So perhaps a basic lesson in the rules would help.
Well, number one, it's an oval. It's not a circle, and it is huge. It's absolutely massive. Most of the players run on average about 22 kilometres in a game, which is phenomenal.
It is.
Yeah, and it can be up to 185 metres long, and it can be 135 metres wide. So it's way bigger than a cricket pitch, and it is incredibly athletic and balletic. And the players, 18 to a side, play 4 quarters of 20 minutes each with time on, so some quarters can go for as long as 32 minutes.
Golly, 18 players on either side. That must be the biggest number of people in any team sport in the world.
I think it is, actually. I think you're right on that. I think rugby league is rugby union is
15. Yeah. So
now, how about the scoring as well? Because it seems as though a bit like Gaelic football in Ireland, where there's sort of 2 or 3 different ways of scoring, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. There's, as Porky's right, there are 4 posts at each end. The 2 in the middle are the tallest. If you go through the 2 in the middle, you get a goal. That's called 6 points. And if you get on either side of those, between the smaller posts, it's a point. So it's 6 points for a goal and 1 point for a behind for just one. And it's whoever wins with the most points wins the game.
Absolutely, and it's hugely popular, isn't it? I mean, MG was trying to tell me it's the most popular game in Australia. I thought that was actually rugby league, but it's still very, very popular, isn't it?
Oh, it is the most popular. At the game that I was at on Saturday evening, when the Swans absolutely demolished the opposition, Port Adelaide, by 61 points, there were 47,000 people there.
Golly, that is fantastic, isn't it?
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is, absolutely. Now,
is that the Adelaide team that's supported by one of our high-ups here in Talk Sport?
I would think so, probably,
I think it is.
Yeah, but we won't get into that in case we're wrong.
Yeah.
Now, Sandra, I saw a picture the other day of a new tourist trick, and I'm not sure where in the world it was, but I think it's got to be somewhere around where you are, because the new tourist trick is, I mean, for years people have been going down in these shark cages, right, and observing sharks close up, you know. And,
is that it now? We're not talking about Australian football anymore.
Well, I think is there anything more you want to know about it?
Well, I did want to know some more things about
go on
it.
Then, please ask.
I thought I'd ask about, for example, it was 18 aside. Do you have timeouts? I mean, you said sometimes the quarters can go for as long as half an hour. I mean, does the game? I mean, are there natural stoppages in the game for injuries? Because these guys look terribly fit to me, and I've never actually seen any of them ever being carried off.
They are incredibly fit, and it's rare that people do get carried off, but they do stop the clock if there is an injury.
Right.
They also stop the clock when a goal has been scored, because they've got to get back to the centre to start the game again with the centre clearance, the centre bounce.
Mm-hmm.
And so they stop the clock for when the umpire is trying to set the angle for the game, for the kicks.
Right.
And what are the grounds used for, Sandra, when they're not being used for Australian rules football? Because they're huge places, as you've just said. How many games a week do they play?
Well, most of them only play the one game a week on the weekend, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday or Sunday. And other times they're used for training, and most of the really big pitches are used for cricket in the off-season as well.
Oh, I see.
Summer they're used for cricket, and in winter they're used for Aussie rules.
Yeah, I see. So they're pretty well used. That's great. OK, well, now, I think MG's now probably satisfied. You're satisfied,
I think so. I'm thinking now that Everton are playing so badly, you just start supporting the Sydney Swans. Give up on Everton.
Well, I'm not going to give up on Everton. But you know, it's not good news. Now, what I was going to tell you about this new tourist phenomenon, Sandra, was that the shark cage has been going for years, but now the newest one is a perspex dome, right? And you get in this perspex dome, they lower you like 20 feet into the water, and at the bottom of this gully where they do it, there is a saltwater crocodile, which then attacks the perspex.
Oh, I've seen a bit
dome
of this,
you're in. Yeah. Now, you know, I thought, well, hang on, saltwater crocodiles only come from Australia, don't they? So it must be happening somewhere in your region.
Well, it's the first I've heard of it, I have to say. I've never, ever heard of it, and I think you'd have to be absolutely barking mad to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're quite aggressive, these saltwater crocs, and I think they only come from Australia, don't they?
Well, we have saltwater crocs, and
they don't have it in Florida as well. They just have alligators in Florida.
Yeah, I think it's just
They're
alligators,
aren't they?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So,
I mean, that would be a bit of a worry in a hurricane as well, because you know all these like alligators get sort of washed up in parts of the place where they shouldn't be.
Absolutely, floating around in your back garden.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's a bit of a worry, the old hurricane season in Miami and Florida. You haven't been hit by any hurricanes in Oz just lately, have you, Sandra?
No, we haven't had any storms like that, thank goodness. And let's pray for all those poor people in Southern America. It's just terrible.
It is shocking.
You tend to have typhoons in your part of the world, don't you? Which is slightly different, but sort of just a different type of weather system.
Yeah.
Do you get to the Caribbean much, Sandra?
No, not much at all.
No, seriously.
Well, it's a bit of a long way to go for a holiday.
Well,
people from Australia don't go to the Caribbean on holiday.
Why not?
Because it's so far to get there.
It's still good, the Caribbean. I mean, you know, a bit of sunshine, all that kind of stuff.
You do ask some stupid questions.
No, I don't ask stupid questions. I have a probing mind because I'm a trained observer.
Well, let's try and ask her a bit more. You know what we didn't get a chance to talk to you about, and this was a story from a couple of weeks ago, and it was about the Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull, who claimed that one of his predecessors, this was rather a bizarre story, even for Australian politicians, one of his predecessors, Tony Abbott, I think, was so drunk one particular day that he couldn't actually vote in Parliament. And then Tony Abbott, I think, actually admitted that it was true, didn't he?
He did, and it is true. And it was at the moment now he laughs about it, but at the time it was fairly serious because it was just during the global financial crisis, and Malcolm Turnbull had just become then the leader of the opposition, and it was after the 2007 election when the Liberal Party's John Howard and Peter Costello, the most successful Prime Minister and Treasurer in history, got turfed from office. So they were all feeling sorry for themselves, and Tony Abbott, who was then on the shadow opposition, in opposition with the former Treasurer and another one of their mates. They got absolutely stonkingly drunk one night over dinner in Parliament House, and the bells rang for a division to have a vote on Labor passing a package to spend a lot of money on to make sure Australia got through the global financial crisis fairly unhurt. And Tony Abbott was too drunk and could not be roused from his office by two members of Parliament to come down to the chamber and vote, and he missed it.
That's shocking, isn't it?
I
mean, I know you said that
dereliction of duty.
Australia has become slightly more politically correct in recent years. Was there not some great uproar about the amount of taxpayers' money that he was wasting, because presumably he was drinking at subsidised prices as well?
Oh, of course. They're always drinking on our dime, on the taxpayers' dime in the Parliament. in the Parliament. And also, it was an important piece of legislation that was being voted on in the House, and it managed to get through. And then saw Australia spend absolutely billions and billions during the financial crisis, which arguably did not need to be spent, and would have set us up for a better position now.
Yeah, right. Absolutely right.
And this Malcolm Turnbull guy, he was the lawyer involved in Spycatcher, wasn't he, many years ago?
That's right, when he was a young lawyer, young up-and-coming lawyer.
That's right. Is that, Andrew Neil, the Sunday Times editor. Now,
whose side was he on then in that particular scenario? Was he trying to block it from being published?
He was representing the author, wasn't he? Sorry?
Yeah, Peter Wright.
Yeah, that's right. He was representing the author, Peter Wright. That's right, yeah. Now, I hope this guy, because of his antecedents about, fighting... for what's right and all that kind of stuff. I hope he's introduced legislation to reopen the bars until the early hours of the morning in the better parts of Sydney. Because last time we had a conversation about this, Sandra, they were all closing at 10:30. Now, I hope we reverse this legislation, because if we haven't, I'm never coming to Sydney again. And we're planning maybe on bringing a show there next year.
Well, I hope they do reverse that legislation, but it was a state law that was introduced by the former Premier of New South Wales, who quit earlier this year, pretty much because he was now on the nose. So he's gone back into a high-paying job in banking and passed the baton to his treasurer at the time, and who's now running the show. And she has actually reversed a couple of laws that he put in play. So we'll see if she doesn't follow through on reversing the opening hours of some of Sydney's best pubs in the inner city.
Yeah, well, I blinking well hope so, because Sydney used to be the world's greatest party town. We can't have these sort of liberal-minded individuals trying to get in the way of all our fun.
Yes, well, indeed. And we wish you were going to be able to join us in New York, Sandra, but we'll be giving your regards to Broadway literally next Saturday or next Thursday when we get there as well.
Oh, fantastic. We'll have a great time. And one of your followers on Twitter has said that you have to have a drink at a bar, I think I'm right, Canavars or Caravars?
Yes, Carragher's, yeah. Well, apparently, Carragher's is a place where one of our fellow scribes is going to be drinking, watching the football, because Carragher's shows the football as well.
That's right. Now, the other thing is, Sandra, that we've got the show in the afternoon, right, and then... There's a chap who now runs what used to be Costello's. And what's it called, Mike, now?
It's called the Overlook Bar.
It's called the Overlook Bar.
It's the exact same place with the exact same wooden bar.
Yeah, and all the same internal furnishings. Now, this guy is so proud of the history of Costello's, when it used to be home to people like you and us, journalists from around the world, that he wants to hold an after-show party. And he's planning to charge people $30 to get in to meet the two mics in the after-show party, which we think's quite a good idea.
Well, I don't know if
provided we get some of the bunch.
Yeah, well, indeed. Yeah, we shall see how that all goes. But listen, Sandra, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be talking to you, I'm sure, again.
We certainly will, Sandra. Great to have you on the air again.
We won't get you on next week because we're not doing a show next week, but maybe the week after would be terrific.
I would love to. It's always my pleasure to talk to you and your fabulous listeners.
Always a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you very much indeed.
Sandra Lee, the amazing favourite Australian that we know down in Sydney.
Absolutely.
Australian. We may be going there next year for a show. You never know.
Indeed.
If we can figure it out.
Yeah.
This is Talk Sport. Talk Sport, we are the two mics coming up at 1 o'clock. It is, of course, the first live broadcast in the history of Talk Sport of the NFL. Dallas Cowboys against the New York Giants. John says this, maybe Everton should take up Aussie rules football. They might be better at it. And Nick says 52% to 48%, shades of Brexit there, and change your opinions post-vote once folk realise the dangers. Let's face it, Porky is a danger.
Well, I don't want to start boasting about my popularity with the audience, but I think that's the third on the trot I've won, isn't it?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, 3-2 to me now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in that case, it was 2-1 before, so it means nothing, really, does it? Tracy says this, Mr. Parry's an expert in garden equipment, isn't he? Buying stuff off shopping channels whilst bladderated.
Yeah, absolutely.
Priceless Porky. And Charlie says about me, the poor guy has to spend 8 hours on a plane with him twice in the next week. Which is true. I have to spend 8 hours with you on a plane twice in the next week.
Yeah, that's right, you do.
But we're coming back on the overnight, though, aren't we? So at least
No.
Oh, it's during the day, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's a Monday daytime,
okay.
so
we can't even sleep then.
So you're thinking of having a sort of bladderation day on Sunday, right, while I'll be watching Everton play Manchester United.
Actually, no, I'm having a day with my family.
Yeah, well, that'll be a bladderation day.
That'll be my mother, my sister,
Most of your family are drunks,
my daughter. That's not a very nice thing to say. I've told you, talk like that in front of my son, he will knock your block off, mate.
Really?
Because he's got a bit of a temper on him.
And
he's not as kind-hearted as I am.
So your sister doesn't like a drink occasionally, then?
She may have a drink.
Your mother doesn't like a drink occasionally?
My mother very rarely drinks now.
Yeah,
she's
she used to drink.
Well, she's 93.
Yeah, well,
she's 93, and I hope you're going to be nice to her either, or else I'm going to give you a slap.
No, of course I'm going to be nice.
You better start behaving yourself now.
Fine ladies. And, you know, various other members of your family enjoy a drink now and then, so
my son doesn't really drink at all, actually.
I don't think you should take objection to what I've said.
My son doesn't really... He said that my family are a bunch of drunks, basically, which is a horrible thing to say.
Well, I'm
not the one whose sister is called Sue Ellen, I think you'll find. So
there's one here
if you live in a glass house, I think you should be very careful what you throw around.
Now, who are the crackheads? Because it says, thanks for the mention, lads. Great show as always. Just on the way home from a gig. Keep up the good work.
That's right. Well, he's one of our
chaps?
followers. I don't know who they are, but I mean, he's in a gig. He's at a gig, so he must be in a band, and maybe the Crackheads is the name of the band.
Indeed.
And it's crack, we should say, spelt C-R-A-I-C, as in the Irish form of a good time, rather than crackheads.
Have you got the crack?
As in a crack house.
Give us a crack. That's right, yeah.
Naomi in Sarasota says, I'm chuckling as the Silver Mont Blanc was about 4 times more expensive. Surprised Porky didn't research the cost before handing it over.
Yes, really? What, you mean 4 times more expensive than...
Yeah, so I've got the more expensive of the Mont Blanc pens. You obviously made a terrible error. Look at your face.
No.
Because you thought that you were getting the most expensive one, didn't you?
Don't be ridiculous. I didn't think that at all.
Yes, you did.
I preferred the darker pen.
Naomi, I could tell from his poor little face that he's now absolutely, completely crestfallen.
I think the silver pen is a bit ostentatious for me, to be honest. I'm not an ostentatious sort of person.
You wear a horrible gold Rolex and you're not an ostentatious person.
No, I'm not ostentatious at all. But anyway, look, any Mont Blanc pen
Thank you so much, Naomi.
It's a wonderful gift.
I'm horrified to know that you spent money on it, though. So you must let me buy you something when you come to New York.
Also,
if you're able to get there.
Apologise, Naomi, that her husband's birthday was actually on August the 21st. So we are sending the birthday card back.
Thanks to me, we've now actually been able to get to the bottom of all the things that you sent. Because Porky just doesn't really care about what
it's
gets
coming
sent
back.
All he does is he takes the good stuff out and then chucks the rest in a corner for a while.
Yeah, better late than never.
Really?
And by the way, there's one here from Goats Rob who says...
Goats Rob?
Woo,
That's Rob.
Woo. It says
That's
woo,
Rob.
woo, woo.
That's Rob who you met in your family pub.
Oh, is it?
Why do you not remember meeting
Oh, yeah,
anyone?
of course I do. Yeah, he says, woo-hoo-hoo, go on, Porky. Looks like you got this one in the bag tonight. And that was a prediction about my victory in Winners and Losers.
Yeah, well, don't get too carried away. Now, speaking of winners and losers, have you not discovered a new phone that you want to tell me about?
Oh, by the way, it says, please tell Porky that the chocolate dame he's talking about is produced dime, not dame.
It's pronounced.
Yes, thank you very much indeed.
It's pronounced dime.
Yes.
Not produced.
Right, and an outrageous suggestion here from Dave, who says, hey, Porky, you've probably nicked both the refills for yourself, haven't you?
I'm sure. Of course he has.
No, I haven't.
Of course he has. But that's okay, because now that I've got the most expensive pen out of the two, he won't be able to sleep tonight over that. He'll be gnashing his teeth.
Not at all.
He'll be absolutely gobsmacked. Now, I should also point out, by the way, for all those people who voted for Porky and the winners and losers, that Chris Froome is on all the back pages this morning for his incredible achievement.
Yes, it is incredible.
Despite the fact that you've got all your kind of rather dopey Porky tribe people to vote for you. So,
he's only won like a race in Spain, hasn't he? It's not like the Tour de France.
He's the only person in history as a Brit to win the Tour de France and this particular race in the same year.
Yeah, okay.
Nobody's ever done it before.
Yeah, but it's only, it's not a... I think he's only the fourth man in history of any nationality to have won both those races in the same season.
But that's exactly why it's a story. That's exactly why he's a winner.
Nobody's ever heard of the Spanish race before.
Well, that's exactly why every newspaper...
The only cycling race in the world that most people know about is the Tour de France.
The Giro d'Italia, you haven't heard of that?
Yeah, well, I've heard of it, but that's because we work in the sports business. But if you stopped a man in Northumberland Street in Newcastle and said... what do you think of the... what's it called again?
The Giro d'Italia.
The Giro d'Italia. Yeah. He'd say... You're looking for an Italian restaurant, mate, you know.
Man? Why are you putting down people from the North East?
Italian restaurant?
Why are you making fun of people from the North East as if they don't know anything?
Down in the big market?
See, this is the trouble with you.
Why
You're such a snob. You say you're making out that everyone in Newcastle's never heard of anything outside of Newcastle.
Well, nobody in this country's ever heard of the Gia Italia.
Of course they have.
No, they haven't.
Rubbish.
You
haven't heard of
Tour
it.
de France.
You haven't heard. Tour de France. Where's that?
Tour de France?
Tour de France.
It's in France.
Anyway, what about this new phone you were telling me about?
Yeah, this new phone's fantastic. This is coming out now. It's the latest Apple, right?
Yeah.
It's called the Apple...
Is this the 8? Because the 8's coming out soon,
No, it's the iPhone X. It's said to be called the iPhone X. It's the first £1,000 phone.
Be like, you should get one because you go with your size X clothes.
The first £1,000 iPhone, and guess what?
It's not the first £1,000 iPhone because... Do you remember they used to make gold, solid gold ones?
But in mass circulation, that's what I'm talking about, okay?
All right.
And this phone, right, first of all, it's like an infinity swimming pool in that the screen goes right to the edge.
Oh, yeah.
See what I mean?
So there's no border.
No border at all.
All right.
It's got no home button.
No home button, okay.
What's a home button?
The home button is that little thing there.
Yeah, it hasn't got that. And do you know why?
Why?
It switches itself on and off with facial recognition of your own face.
Facial recognition? Well, you wouldn't want facial recognition of somebody else's face, would you?
No, well, that's what I mean. That's why it can only work for you, because it gets facial recognition of your face.
So what, you point your face at it as opposed to... Because at the moment I use my fingerprint.
Yes, okay, yeah, fine.
Which is pretty cool.
Well, this is your face.
Yeah.
Also, it doesn't come with a lead and a plug to charge it,
right?
Because it charges by wireless.
Wireless charger.
There is no need whatsoever to plug it in. In fact, there's no facility to plug it in.
But the problem with that, right? Presumably, the charger, which is wireless, also needs to be charged. So I can see that you're not the best person to ask this.
No.
But basically, something that needs to be charged wirelessly, needs to be charged at some point. Do you know what I'm saying? So if you had, for example, wireless headphones, and they're not connected to anything, they occasionally will run out of charge. So you'll have to charge them somehow.
Put a battery in them, do you?
Well, you don't put a battery in the headphones, no, because they're only tiny little buds, aren't they?
Yeah, I see what you mean. They could be, or they could be like the headphones we've got on with an arc across the top of your head.
You wouldn't put a battery anywhere in them, would you?
Well, I think you would, yeah.
No, of course not.
Well, okay. Now, what I don't understand is with wireless charging, is whose electricity are you using when you're charging it by wireless?
Well, the wireless charger has been previously charged, right?
Where's the wireless charger?
Well, the wireless charger has to be charged. It can be charged wirelessly, but it will run out of electricity eventually.
Yeah, but where is the wireless charger?
Well, I don't know. I haven't got one.
No, that's what I mean. Where do you carry it around with you?
Well, you can do, yeah.
Well, if you do, then it's the same as carrying around a plug, isn't it?
No, it's not.
And a lead,
because it's not as it doesn't take up as much room.
Oh, is that the idea?
That's the idea. We may have to have another whole show to explain this. We'll get somebody on because we're out of time.
Yeah.
We are the two mics.